we and our best friends are getting married.
Unmarked envelope. Could it be cash? A check?
Oh my God. I'm calling 911.
Everyone chill out! We don't tell anybody what happened tonight.
We should go. What does it say? What if someone saw us?
Outside of us, no one knows what happened, right?
Hello? Please stop!
Someone is clearly coming after us.
I need to start drinking.
The cops are not gonna help us.
And we'll find someone who will.
It isn't something I like talking about.
You survived this once. We need your help.
You can't run. You can't hide. Get them before they get you. Whoever's doing this, it's personal to them.
One of us is hiding something.
We are not gonna die today. What are you waiting for?
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster with your host, Gaius and Jackson. Jackson's not on with us today, but we'll be recording later this week to catch up on some anniversary episodes. This is more of an impromptu episode for Back to the Blockbuster. As most of you know, the Legacy sequel, I Know You Did Last Summer, opened over the weekend. Have a lot of feelings about it, and I was messaging someone who definitely has a lot of feelings about it, and it actually works because this person's been involved in a lot of episodes on the show, but even all the ones so far that have had to do with I Know You Did Last Summer, including the original 1997 movie. He talked with us about the 1998 sequel. The only one we haven't covered is I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, and I don't think that'll ever happen. So welcome Mark J. Parker from the Release Date Rewind podcast to go over this wacky Legacy sequel.
This franchise is wacky. I sometimes honestly forget that I'll always know what you did last summer.
Yeah, I'll always know what you.
I still have never seen it. Sometimes I really forget that even was a real thing and wasn't just like an
supernatural
unofficial
angle to it.
Yes.
Too. I think there's
Ben Willis is a zombie ghost killer or something. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. I've only seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. Maybe
now
it's not
I kind of want to
see
see it.
Maybe it's not fair for me to judge it without having. But I know that even like hardcore fans of this franchise are like,
oh yeah,
they're happy to get rid of it not being canon now that they have this. Before I even go into like anything directly with the movie, it was like kind of like whiplash reading the reactions to it ahead of it coming out, because a lot of the early word, and I guess the early word from some critics and like I guess influencers who saw early screenings of it was like overwhelmingly positive, which kind of like made me go like, oh, like this is exciting. Like they were basically saying this is what a Legacy sequel should be like. Some even kind of attacked like, what Scream should have been when they came back with it's a Legacy sequel. So I was like, all right, well, that sounds promising. And because I don't really know what I was expecting. I mean, the franchise has never been like a critical darling to begin with. Like I think the first one has a 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, which Rotten Tomatoes wasn't really like a huge like a thing. I don't even know in 97. So like
definitely
a lot
not
of the
what
reviews
it is today, right? No way.
Yeah, so a lot of the reviews are there. Some of them are archival reviews. Some
that
of
was
them
back
more,
in the
like,
Siskel and Ebert heyday. We were like listening to actual like critics. Yeah.
Critics, yeah. So some of those were reviews are like archival interviews from the time. A lot of them are also newer interviews or reviews that have reviewed the movie in the years since it came out. I think we re-released our I Know You Last Summer episode for the 25th anniversary that we did together. Right. That idea came about because Jackson and I were both very busy, and I was like, we couldn't record anything, so I was like, well, that was like episode 50 something. It was early in the run, so maybe someone hasn't heard it, and it's probably a good time to kind of link it back to the Legacy sequel coming out. So for those of you who have listened to it, you know that we both enjoy that movie. I think the 45% is undeserved on Rotten Tomatoes, but of course Rotten Tomatoes is just a collection of reviews. It's not saying that like it has like an F grade. It's just
right.
That percentage of reviewers liked it or didn't like it. The sequel has an 8%, and when we covered it on
and we
the
talked
show,
about that. Yep.
That was it was a struggle for Jackson to get through. I mentioned when I saw this the sequel when it came out in theaters, I was like, oh, you could tell this is not going to be great. But over the years, I had like softened on it as like it's a fun like slasher movie.
It's a great thrill ride. It gives us everything we need. It's sort of not even sort of. It really is nonsensical. We talked about that, but it is actually scary, actually very fun. And I have to say, everyone who's listening, we all thought I Still Know was bad. And then now we have this new movie. That's all. I'm just like, because at least I Still Know is one of the few slasher sequels with the returning leads that like we're actually getting a continued story with them. We're feeling Julie's grief. I love that scene. It's actually so sad when she looks at the picture of Helen. So it is funny how Sarah Michelle Gellar has always been involved.
Somehow involved.
I do appreciate that. But you know what I mean? Like, I Still Know, yes, it's campy, it's fun, it takes strange twists and turns, but it is still very grounded in reality and in the grief and in the sadness and like the survivor's guilt. So I mean, a lot of slasher sequels don't even deal with that. I mean, I love Scream, I love Scream so much, but very rarely do we actually really see like Sydney like grieving. Gail doesn't really grieve. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't see those moments that much in the continuing sequels all that much anymore. So yeah.
So we had that on the table. So I was like, given those two percentages of those two movies, when I was getting the early word was positive, I was like, okay, we're cooking. And then they had the LA premiere, and then the review, and then the review embargo lifted, and then the word on the movie like turned like almost immediately. Like I was like, all right, well, I guess like I mean, this happens sometimes where this is why this is a whole other discussion for another episode, but a lot of people give a lot of slack to people who see these movies early and then leave a really glowing like social media review, because you're allowed to, for those that don't know, there's like a social media embargo on movies where you can do a tiny little blurb of what you think of the film, and depending on a lot of people will do that for traffic because people share it a lot, they retweet it, whatever. Some people think those reviews are, especially if you're an influencer, like you're influenced to give a review like that because you want to be invited to the next Sony Pictures, whatever.
Yeah, you want to maintain that relationship.
Or whatever the studio is, Disney, Warner Brothers, whatever it is, right? You want to keep that going because the idea is like, if you give a negative review, that your email will suddenly be pulled from that email list of people who are invited to these things, right?
Yep.
So there was a nice balance of like, okay, there's this early word that it's a really great Legacy sequel, and then the opposite end of it was that it was lazy. Who is this made for? It almost is. It kind of teeters on this kind of meta self-parody kind of thing. I was seeing those reviews kind of come up a lot. But then it landed at like a 46%, and I was like, well, the first one has just about that, and I like that. But I should have been thinking like this was such a day 46%, and not like a movie from 1997, 46%.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're right.
And then it collapsed even further over the weekend to like a 38.
And then really? I'm going to look right now.
And I believe the audience score and the audience score is a better indication of like how people are feeling about some of these things. It's at a 69%, which is not awful, but not great for like a horror movie though. I mean, it's like, it kind of indicates that like, they're there's some issues with it.
What about the cinema score? Do you ever look at the cinema score?
Oh, I believe it got a C+. I'll verify it right now.
Oh, yep, I just looked. You're right, C+. Same as Eddington. Wow, geez.
Eddington, which also for a horror movie isn't horror. I mean, just think back, Hereditary, I believe, got like a D- or something along those lines.
Oh, did it really?
And that's a great horror film.
Yeah,
so
that's
a C+,
wild.
like is pretty decent for this kind of movie. But they also say with horror that a grade like that is an indication that horror movies can't really have mixed word of mouth like that, because it's the fan base is either rabid one way this way or completely the other. And what I'm seeing today, as before we even did this, I want to look and see if the words change. It's again all over the place on social media where like people are like, I love it. And of course, there's the people that love it who are then attacking the people that love Scream. And then there's the people who like downright are like, what even was the thought process behind this movie?
It's so funny, Gaius, because I saw it Thursday at 3:00 on the East Coast. So I was one of the first.
So you saw it even before I did. I saw it late.
I'm surprised you didn't go to like a pre-release screening.
They didn't have a lot of them until the LA premiere in LA. So there were like I don't know why there weren't a lot of like.
You should have gone to the premiere. They should have invited Gaius.
That would have been a lot more fun, and
that would have been cool.
If I did enjoy it, that would have been enjoying the ambiance, I guess.
Yes, at least you'd have cool like decorations around you, right? But it's so funny to see the change in social media, because when I saw it on Thursday, I felt like I was the only one in the world that had problems with it, because so much social media chatter was so positive. Oh my God, I loved it. I'm seeing it again. And at that time I was like, on Thursday night, I was like, why would you ever see that again, ever? And then over the weekend, once more people saw it, I started to see more like-minded people, some people even more upset than me. So I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, we're like not so one-sided. It is really wild how initial posting and like you said, influencers that were hired to like leave a review and a positive review, it just was so much that. And then now luckily we're a little bit more balanced, thank God, because I thought I was losing my mind.
Settled in, I kind of felt that way too, because I think I left a blurb on it on, I guess, Thursday night. I will say Friday morning, because it was like around midnight. So the tiny blurb I did leave was just like, I kind of called it a hybrid of like the seriousness of the first movie and the kind of silliness, campiness of the I Still Know You Know That Summer. And I thought it was like a fun slasher movie. There were some fun slasher movie moments, and some of the character stuff worked for me. Like, I will go into it, but like, I mean, I love Madeline Klein to death. Thought she was amazing. Thought she was fun. She, definitely understood like the whole snarky sense of humor. Even the stuff, and I guess we can go into it too with how Jennifer Kayden Robinson writes, because this is like I've seen Do Revenge, and like
I just saw it the night before, so I'm finally up to speed on that.
It has like kind of character dialogue, really. Of some, one of my friends,
she's good at bitchy
sense of humor.
Yes, it was so weird to hear like cunty, and like they called the killer like you cunt. It's just so funny, because it's like in this world that doesn't mean really that bad anymore, like it would if it was in the serious first movie, or even the second movie, if a killer or if anyone was called a cunt. I mean, like, whoa. But now in these parameters, it's kind of like, oh my God, don't kill us, but yes, girl.
A lot of that.
She knows how to write a sassy, like, queer coded comedy, but oh God.
So I kind of wish I didn't like leave my blurb then, because like I feel I don't hate it, but I definitely would be more harsh on it if I had maybe written that little blurb like on Saturday or Sunday.
A couple days later,
I would have been like, really think about it, because I rewatched the original, which I guess is not the best one, because like it is the most serious of the ones. I mean, it takes its premise as serious as it can.
It's very serious.
I think we kind of forget that sometimes it's more of a like almost murder mystery rather than a slash. Now it is slasher movie coded. And if you look at the stuff with the fisherman and Sarah Michelle Gellar's big chase scene, it's very like reminiscent of like Prom Night from 1980.
Which I just watched.
There's a lot of that in it, right? But at its core, it's a murder mystery.
The first half is a real good mystery, even with Johnny Galecki getting his great death. It still could, that's pretty brutal, of course. But like, it's still very much like coastal creepy mystery. It's not until we have like back-to-back deaths that we're like, okay, yeah, this is full on slasher, you know?
Right. And you're right. And I guess it's probably not up to the point to where I guess I can even throw in like Barry's stuff at the gym, but it's more like where we get like, you know, Sam Gellar's hair getting cut off, and then like all like, and then the whole Croker Creek.
It's more like the book. I'm rereading the book. I'm in the middle of the book right now. And guys, have you ever read the book, Gaius?
Back in so when the movie first came out, I read it. I remember being surprised about how different.
Very different.
But then I found out years later that she was so upset with the movie because like I guess her daughter was
murdered
in
the late 80s, right? Yeah, and up until recently they didn't know who killed her. I guess in the last 5 or 10 years they found out who the guy came forward. So it is kind of crazy how, you know, one of her most famous works is a very popular franchise that is so bloody and violent and everything, you know. But the book is, I mean, what happens to Barry around the same time as what happens to him in the movie with that like kind of car wreck and he's screaming on the ground, which is so good. He gets shot in the book. Like the book is actually a little bit worse to Barry, you know, but then better to some folks because there's no murder. So it is very interesting to now see what the franchise has become, how it's so much murder. But people say that this movie, the kills are brutal, but I don't know, Gaius.
They were rather generic.
I found they were right. I'm glad you say that because people are like, "Oh my god, the kills were amazing." I'm like, some of them we didn't even see. Some we did, and I'm sure we'll talk about that and talk about our favorite deaths and everything. But like, I don't know, the kills in the first movie and the kills in the second one, and I still know especially, they are violent and they're grisly. I mean, Ben Willis like drags people like, you know, like poor Elsa. I mean, you know, people are really getting it in bloody ways. So I'm like, what movies did I watch?
And I'm glad you said that about like the original and even the sequel, because I'm glad I'm seeing people post now the weekend's over and all of the 3 main ones. Sorry, I'll always know, but the 3 main ones are out and everyone has seen them.
We don't count that.
People are posting like really positive stuff about the original movie now too, where they're posting shots from the film that say like, hey, this movie is underestimated for how great it looks, how great some of the shots are. Beautiful. And then when you mentioning the kills, like even though you just use the example like in this new one, we don't see a lot of it. There's stuff that we don't see in the original, but it's the way it's shot and framed that makes it more brutal. Like Barry's death, you don't see any blood or anything, but it's intense the way it's all shot. Yeah, right. Helen's death, you see enough of it, even just through like the flickering of like the fireworks and everything, and then like shots in the alley on top of her hands and stuff. Like that shows that you don't need to really show everything to show how brutal is. And then you mentioned the whole Johnny Galecki death, which is also, I guess, probably the most brutal thing that really happens.
Yeah, Johnny's got a great, and it's so funny because I'm sure we probably talked about this. Like Johnny's death was not even in the original version, I think, or it was implied. There was that great deleted scene, which is very creepy, of the killer just in the doorway, and then it's implied.
And they used in the TV spots back in the day, by the way.
Did they? It is a great shot. It's very creepy, but I'm so glad we got the version. I mean, the first death is one of the gnarliest, you know? He and Elsa and the police officer, I think, get it the worst. Helen and Barry, from what we can see, respectfully, because they are our co-leads and we love them so much, you know? A lot of it's kind of off screen, you know, the actual impact.
Of it, and mentioning like these great co-leads, like that first movie, even the second one, because there's a reason why Brandy Carla, you know, over the years has become, an iconic kind of final girl in her own right. People love once I Still Know got to a point of like, let's appreciate it for what it is. I think that's when the whole, you know, fandom behind people like Carla, and then her and Jerome Hewitt together, and then also wanting to bring Carla back for this, which they do, and we'll talk about that too. But like, you know, like the importance of having really good characters in these movies,
and like realistic dialogue, right? Because Carla was funny and sassy, but when things got serious, you could feel she was serious. She was caring for her friend. She was, you know, it wasn't this constant cracking of like jokes, right?
Even after a very serious, dire thing happened, and then this new one, there would be a very serious thing that happened, and then it would be undercut by a joke. And I'm not saying that some of them weren't funny. Like I would chuckle, and I'd be like, "Wait a minute! Like it wasn't all of like 2 minutes ago that someone like serious like in your life was just murdered." And so it was I get what she maybe was trying to do, but I also agree with some people who were like, it at times felt more like a parody of that idea.
I am right there with them.
Like we're gonna talk about Scary Movie later, and I was like, this is what that kind of felt like.
There were moments and I'm like, I feel like this is not a reboot of I Know. This is the reboot of Scary Movie for sure. Right. Yeah.
So like the bullet, and we'll go into all these in detail, but like the things that I came out of it after the weekend, I had issues with is Jennifer Kane Robinson may be able to write good dialogue, but I felt like from a directing standpoint, she really didn't know how to craft great tension, or like it really felt like almost like it felt very TV movie-ish, the whole thing.
The whole thing felt so Netflix. It looked Netflix. It felt Netflix. It felt like Do Revenge too.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that in the trailers, I didn't get that impression. Maybe they just used all the right shots in the trailers where I was like, oh, this looks like a pretty decent looking, like cinematography-wise movie. But then when I was like watching it, I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is giving TV movie to the max. And I was like, and almost immediately noticed it like from the start, where I was like, oh, this doesn't even feel cinematic.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, I agree. Because we start the movie where like Ava's coming home. And at first I thought, oh, because the book, and sorry if I like keep comparing to the book, but the book does not start with the car accident. It starts with the year later, and then they remember. So I thought, oh, okay, are we going to change the formula a little bit? And we're not going to start with a year ago. We're going to start with now and then have flashbacks, which I'm ready for that to happen in the next one. I just think let's change up the way we tell the story. It doesn't always need to be like, but yeah, you're right. It opens and we kind of see her come home and get ready for Danica's first engagement party. What I love, and this is part of the reason why I made Your Last Summer, a fan film sequel that I've talked about with you, that what I love about the original movie and even the sequel, but especially the original, it is such a beautiful sense of place. You know exactly where this takes place. We spent a lot of time on the cliffs, which don't exist in Southport. I was just in Southport for 4th of July to see I Know in the Shivers department store, which Gaius, I was near tears.
Nice.
It was awesome. Truly, it was like going to church. It was an amazing experience running through the field. That it's all right there. It's amazing. But like the cliffs, the town, the cute houses, like the sidewalks, like the of course the boats and the docks. We know very well where we are. Then we go to Missy's house. In this movie, from the get-go, I'm like, okay, are you in LA? Like, this is just a neighborhood. Yeah. And then
what's crazy is like most of it was shot in Australia, right? I know I know like some stuff was shot in LA.
And you could feel,
I think most of the Jennifer Love Hewitt stuff was maybe shot in LA. I don't know if she got to go maybe for.
I don't think it seemed like, because they were filming for a while before she
signed on. I mean, right?
It's sort of like it sort of felt, or maybe I was just making this up in my mind, that she was sort of like, because the production like went on pause, I guess, for the holidays, but also like to figure out the Julie character and like, where are they shooting it? What are they doing? And in that podcast I was just telling you about, just as of this recording, Tommy Daddario, her Jennifer Love Hewitt's like bestie, just had her on, and she says, Gaius, I thought this was so interesting. She said because of her 911 schedule, she was actually going to be in the movie more, but couldn't devote that much time to it. I thought it was going to be less. I thought it was going to be the opposite, where she said, I was really only in one scene, because there were rumors that she was rewriting the script with them. She wanted to be in more.
She didn't want to just be there as like she didn't want to feel shoehorned in. And I think Freddie Prinze Jr. also felt the same way about like, let's not just use the legacy characters as like, like some people felt, and that maybe Neve Campbell was in Scream 5, where it's just like she was kind of thrown into the middle of the story. They were like, do we really need her? Do we not need her? After watching this, I kind of feel like Scream handled it a bit better than this movie makes
Scream 5 in the Scream franchise. I just have to say, Scream 5, after some thought, it came out a couple years ago, is probably my least favorite of the whole franchise. And I know Scream 3 is messy, but it's got a great motive, and it all like that closes a trilogy. And I like the meta Hollywood. Don't even get me started. 4 looks bad. It's a little rough, but at least
has aged better.
It's aged better. The motive is great. And I don't know. I find 4 actually creepy because it's so dark. Like the neighborhood is so dark that like, I don't know, rewatch it. But 5 to me is sort of the most soundstagey looking and the most repetitive right after 4. So 5, I love probably the least, but This movie, this new I Know, makes 5 look great, in my opinion. Sorry.
Like a masterpiece.
It makes it look so good, and it makes sense, and the motives I understand. And for a while, I'm like, so what were the Scream 5 motives? They want to like reboot the franchise, But this movie just makes 5 look really solid, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Yeah, it does, and I think that movie, if anything, even if you think that Scream is flawed, it is I think a better example of like, okay, how do we bring this franchise back and honor the past while also being like, we have to like move on into the future. So I thought that, at least with the legacy characters that we got in Scream 5 with, Sidney, Dewey, and Gale, all three together utilized very well within that new story, I thought. Now you can like, bitch and moan about there wasn't enough Sidney. Should they have done that to Dewey? Like, there's a lot of like, a lot of that.
Yeah, someone had to go. Someone really had to. One of those 3 really had to go in 4. And I remember the biggest shock of 4. Besides, I mean, I was shocked at who one of the killers were. Well, both killers, I guess. But an even bigger shock was, wow, the 3 leads still made it. I thought for sure, like one of them, I really would not have been surprised if Sidney got it in 4 to really create a new trilogy. But so I do appreciate what the new I Know has done with our returning characters. I mean, it could have been far better, but it's growing on me with what happens to one of them, because at least like, I don't know, it wasn't so repetitive to just bring everyone back, to just keep them going and going and going, to
save the day.
However, a better execution would have really made such a difference for the whole
better
movie.
Execution, and we're teetering around talking about the ending until we get closer to it.
Well,
a better execution, a better reasoning, a better build up to it would have been. And by the way, I understand the reasoning, like the idea of it, the idea of like,
I do.
And then a part of me was like trying to go like with the whole meta idea of like, well, this person, like a lot of people thought that person in the first one was the red herring. So like, so why don't we just do that, right?
And that's what Jennifer Love Hewitt says in the podcast. She says, the more I thought about it, Ray was all.
No, you're good.
I'm jumping the gun. But I know. At least a little preview for what we'll say at the end is, she said Ray always kind of was, at least in the original, like a suspect, he really was. He's really only in half the movie, so
he's missing for most of the fun stuff, actually.
Right, totally.
He's gone for
totally. So I get that, but it's like, for this to work, we need more time with him. I gotta see, talking about more sense of place, more sense of our returning characters in this world, and how are they now. I do feel like 5 does that with Dewey, and to an extent a little bit of Gale, probably the least with Sidney. Fun fact, Gaius, you might love this. I didn't realize until I was on it. There's this, I haven't seen the show The Waterfront, Kevin Williamson's new show that was shot in Wilmington and Southport.
It did like crazy well on Netflix.
I need to, have you watched it?
I haven't, but I was curious because
we gotta watch.
Well on Netflix.
I know,
it was,
it's very popular. I'm not. It's great, but I'm walking on this beautiful boardwalk on the water where Dawson's Creek has filmed a bunch of times, right in Wilmington. I mean, Wilmington and Southport, everybody, you gotta go. It is beautiful. It was very hot, so don't go in the summer. But I realized that's where Sidney is running, where she takes the call from Dewey, on this boardwalk, and I'm like, and I realized, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that was a big, nice nerdy moment, but. With the exception of her, I did get the sense that, like Dewey and even for Gale, I got in 5 sort of like a relation to them in this place. And this new I Know, even in Ray's bar, I'm like, do I feel like Ray really like works here and made these decorative decisions?
You're
I
like,
don't
no.
know. Would he really have a Billy? And I appreciated the big Billy Blue part of his boat. I loved that. It was a great callback, but it's so cute. I'm like, would Ray make that cute, or would it look?
That? Yeah,
would
especially
it look pretty weathered?
Especially like a new like gruff Ray that we are reading
also,
in this movie.
I just felt like this movie was a remake. I'm actually going to do a post soon of. For now, I'm quoting it as, I've seen this before in another horror reboot that was better and barely better. Like Kyle Richards, Lindsay, doesn't she own a bar in Halloween Kills? Which Halloween Kills is not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not a great movie. I went to some of those locations, including her bar in Wilmington. So much has filmed in Wilmington. It's crazy. So much horror cred. But like, I'm just like, so Ray's going to own a bar too. There's a podcaster, which we saw in Halloween 2018. Julie and Ray are divorced, much like Gale and Dewey. I'm just like, I've seen all this before.
It's
like
all
is that
these
intentional?
It's all these character beats that like have come before it that were done a bit better. Like,
right.
You know, I know people like if you're wondering why we keep using Scream as the prime example, but because it really is the most decent example. Because for better or worse, like these two franchises have been on each other's coattails ever since they started.
Oh,
because
totally.
Scream, because 96 Scream starts this, right? And actually, the article I wrote for Movie Web about I Know You Last Summer, the original was not to say that it's quote unquote a better movie than Scream, but it is just as important to that late 90s revival of slasher movies as Scream, because Scream could have been a fluke. And it would have been like, all right, it made a little bit of money. I Know You Did Last Summer was the real test of like, are these going to be successful?
Is this an actual trend?
And it came out the gate successful. I think people forget that it was number one in America for 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
it was a hit right out the gate, and Scream wasn't. Scream never hit number one. It opened really low. Now, but it was a word of mouth hit that eventually
and it was
made
in theaters for like
a lot
months and months and months, right?
But I Know You Did Last Summer like hit when it was a lot of stuff that it was like, okay, well, this isn't a fluke. All right,
totally.
Then now let's greenlight a bunch of these. Let's do Urban Legend. Let's do Disturbed Behavior. And I think that's why I feel it's important. I also think it's important because it was never meant to be Scream. It was never meant to be as smart or witty. Now it has a lot of the dialogue in it because Kevin Williamson wrote it, and it has and some of the dialogue. And I know is very reminiscent of like them being self-aware of at least certain things, right? But it was never meant to be like this kind of meta borderline satire of the genre.
I know was always kind of like a new version of an 80s kind of classic mystery slasher, right?
And I compared it to this in the article where like, let's say the original Halloween is an excellent movie, right? And it paved the way for the slasher genre in so many ways. But Friday the 13th, which is not as good, it comes out in 1980, but it's still culturally relevant for what it did do for the genre. I mean, it was groundbreaking in terms of like gore effects and all that stuff. It was not as polished as Halloween, but was still successful because it was this new type of thing that was emerging. And from Friday the 13th, we got a bunch more of these movies, including a Halloween 2 that is more like Friday the 13th than it is Halloween 1.
Halloween 2.
So that was a comparison I had where like Scream is an excellent film. I know You Did Last Summer may not be as polished, but still just as important to that revival.
Absolutely. So, the two have always gone hand in hand. That's why I'm wearing my shirt of the Scream and I Know Girls. So they've always to me been like the next town over,
Right. So that's why we keep mentioning the Scream Legacy sequel, because I think after watching this, I have a better appreciation of, all right, well, that's what you should do with new characters to like integrate them into the story. Talking about Scream, you use your legacy characters because they aren't the main stars anymore. I mean, I know everyone doesn't want to think that, because you have to make a movie that honors that, but also is very realistic understanding. Like, well, they may not be here forever. If we want to keep the franchise going, we need to put in new blood, right? And even with Sydney and how she's using Scream when she comes back, there is a nice, and maybe it's in the writing or in the acting, but there's this nice thing where she kind of sees Melissa Barrera's character already is like, is that the girl? Let me spit some knowledge at her real quick on how and it's done so in a way that might feel rushed to some, but like it made sense though that Sydney would be in that place, at least in that movie, to be like, well, let me break this down to you. Like, I want to help, but like you running away from your problems isn't gonna fix it, And then it's only that one real scene that they have together to establish that kind of back and forth, but and that to me did more wonders than anything that Jennifer Love Hewitt had with Chase Suey, who plays Ava, who plays Ava, like, and then they have more moments together. But it comes down to the writing, and bear in mind, I love Jennifer Love Hewitt. I'm so glad that she got to come back and do this.
She does get to do. I liked her performance in the movie. I thought it was pretty good, and Freddie I thought was pretty. Like, it was nice to see them back, and they didn't do a bad job with what they were given. I thought they both did. The best. I was kind of impressed with them both. You know what I mean? I think. Yeah. Right?
No. I thought they were both good. I thought Jennifer Love Hewitt actually was very good in it. And I love her interviews and stuff. You can tell she's excited to be back.
Oh yeah.
And so on that level, I appreciate it more for her than like what it does for her. But speaking of the new people, And the actors like Madeline Klein as Chase Doing Wonders, Jonah Howard King as a Tyreek Withers. Just want to make sure I got his name right. Sarah Pigeon, Gabriette, and I guess those are the main like younger cast members, right?
Yep.
I would like to know what you thought of them, and is there someone? I mean, in the bunch, like, did you think they were good? Did you think that they were just the writing made them too much like caricatures of what actual young adults should be? There's a lot of issues I had with how they were written, but I don't think they played badly what they were given. This was the movie. I mean, this was what Jennifer wrote, co-wrote actually with Sam Lansky. So like, this was the kind of movie they were trying to make, where it's going to be like this kind of like punchy, kind of bitchy, like not too serious take on this.
And it's interesting because yes, Jennifer and Sam co-wrote the script, but it's story by Leah. I believe her name is Leah McKendrick, an actress writer. So I'm so curious who I can't remember. I feel like I looked up a long time ago. I think she and Jennifer Caton Robinson worked on something in the past, but I'm just so curious what was Leah's, because Leah had written the script first. When the news was announced, it was written by Leah. And then once Jennifer came on, then they rewrote it. So I'm just wondering, like, what I would love to see, like, an earlier version.
What part of her is,
and
like,
I still really want to read Mike Flanagan's version from like 10 years ago.
For 2014. And that probably would have been his. And
I'm sure that
now apparently it had no connection to the previous installment, so you may not have gotten.
It was like a true remake. Right.
Yeah, you wouldn't have gotten Julie or Ray most likely. So
I'm curious, but like with your question of the cast, listen, like I'm glad that people are having fun with them. Don't get me wrong, the movie was entertaining. They were entertaining. I think my biggest pet peeve is I could feel the wardrobe department all over them. Like something about
that's a really good
the way they were styled, and I could feel that in
like
the trailers.
It felt like very movie younger. This is what
everyone was so
perfectly
like. Dressed. Yes, everyone's got all the right accessories, a ring and a necklace, like different layers, and like so when we first meet them, we know that it's Danica and Teddy are getting married, right? So of course they would look nice. I understand they would look nice, but even Sarah Pigeon was a Stevie, who was sort of like the Max, sort of like the Johnny Galecki in a way, like more kind of blue collar. So it was fun to kind of see her now part of like more of the mix, that character. Even she looked so stinking cute in her work outfit, like hauling, like everyone just looked so cute.
She's supposed to be like the outsider, right? She's supposed to be the one that's not quite part of the group anymore.
But and I'm like, you look part of the group. You look great. You are like, everyone was so manicured, and I don't know, maybe because on my pod we talk about old movies. So like I just watched, House of Wax not long ago, and they all kind of weren't perfectly like manicured, you know what I mean? 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So now this just again feels so Netflix in that everyone is just very, and don't get me wrong, rewatching the original, I know, yes, they are dressed very well, like Helen with her details and Julie with the cute overall. Like, I get it, but there's just something.
It wasn't
about
like trying too hard though. Like there's something about that, like the way they looked at didn't try too hard. Even you mentioning House of Wax, they all look great, but like there's something about it that wasn't trying too hard.
They kind of had their individual styles, and it wasn't so perfectly fit.
Everyone in this is just like beautiful and like to a T. Right? So it's like everything about like they didn't feel like real people. I guess it's like that's what's a lot of the big problem with it for me was like they really felt like characters of what those types of characters were supposed to be.
It felt I
get the overall idea, right? Like Danica is supposed to be like Helen, but Helen wasn't quite like that. And I know you know that summer, she wasn't like really bitchy and stuck up and mean and like she and like they kind of played Madeline Klein, and it's how she was directed probably, but they almost played Danica to be like stupid and self-involved, and Helen wasn't stupid.
No. Helen would never say like, oh, I need to start drinking, or the biggest like head scratcher for me with Danica, and I love that people like Danica. I liked her. I know they reshot the ending. Did we talk about this maybe on Instagram? They reshot the ending literally a month ago, mid-June,
to keep her around,
to keep her alive, which okay, sure, but the way she washes up ashore, I know I'm jumping around. I'm just like, oh well, that looks so easy. Like she's just there. Like,
she got hooked hard.
There's no blood in the sand, really, huh? But like the thing that really irked me with Danica, and again, she did a great job. She looks good. She is a new Helen, but like her second fiance just died. We saw a lot of it
Yeah.
in the trailer. I understand. You know, I kind of liked him. He was interesting. But they're at the police station or whatever, and she's like, I need to do my skin, like something like they still say that even when like a family member dies, you still need to keep up with your skincare routine. And I'm just like, can you just shut up? Can you just
be
like
serious for like a second?
You know, and I just kind of felt like, I don't know. I think of the original movie, like the early Screams, the early, like just the slashers that came before this one. And I'm just like, one of the lead girls would not have said that unless this was Scary Movie.
Unless they were making fun of it, right? Yeah.
Unless they, and unless she is next to die and she's actually self-centered and bitchy and she's going to get it, you know? Which that would have been interesting if the girl who gets the note, because this time it's not the Julie character getting the letter, it's the Helen character. It would have been very interesting if, that's why I kind of wish Danica did die, only so that we're changing the formula, you know, not to hate on Madeline Klein. She's great. But and maybe more exciting than Chase's role, which I know Chase's role was originally Camila Mendes from.
And then she dropped.
And then she had to drop out for something.
The He-Man reboot.
Oh, He-Man, yes, which makes sense for her. So, and it's hard because Camilla is so good. I auditioned her years ago for What Would You Do before she was a thing. Amazing. It was so crazy. I almost booked her, but we didn't book her. But I just feel like she would have been the same as Do Revenge. Just so bitchy, so Rose McGowan and Jawbreaker. I just feel like that's not necessarily this franchise. You need people that are...
No, it's not,
you know, because even Helen has serious moments, right?
Yeah, you need a sympathetic person here. And even Ava she has moments where it's like, oh, something serious just happened. And like this, and the dialogue is undercut with something really like...
And Ava, I just couldn't get past her wig. I just, the whole, right from the get-go, I'm like, you are so wearing a wig. When I'm like, Chase has this cute haircut, you know, in real life. And I guess I still haven't seen the studio. I'm super behind on TV. I need to watch the studio. But I know she has short hair. Why not have your final girl have this cute, like, pixie cut? What's wrong with that?
And you know what's crazy about some of this cast that I didn't realize? And of course, you know, when the cast is young, they're all over the place, like shooting stuff a lot, right?
Right.
So, you know, Madeline Klein, who's been on Outer Banks, which is a fun show. I actually didn't realize how comedically gifted she was until I saw Glass Onion. I thought she was really funny in that, had like had a really good moments in that. And she's really funny here. I think what I like about Danica has more to do with just Madeline Klein being good at what she does, right? Yep. And then you mentioned the studio with Chase. You have Sarah Paget is going to be on that American Love Story thing with Ryan Murphy. All these people are like all these people are doing like better things around.
I like Sarah a lot. Sarah's got a great look. Did you ever see her in the Wilds?
Oh, no.
I only watched the season 1 of The Wilds, but she's like the lead of that show with Rachel Griffin. I always forget her last name, but Griffiths. She's good. So I was excited to see her in this movie. We'll talk about what happens. And then, you were saying Jonah. Who, Jonah?
Was in the Little Mermaid.
Yes, he's been blowing up. He is so friggin' pretty. This guy, it's like, but he had nothing to do in this movie. And going back to how good they looked, yes, don't get me wrong. We've talked about how the first movie and the sequel, everyone looks good, but it sort of takes some time to realize they look good. Like when you look at it, Ryan Phillippe is really pretty scrawny, pretty skinny, but it's in the shower scene. You're like, oh shit, okay, chiseled, you know? Like Jonah, his arms are so huge. He's so beautifully dressed. And I'm just like, I don't know. Let me work towards like, are these people as good looking as I think they are in this movie? Do you know what I mean? They just are so good looking from the get-go that I'm like, I kind of don't like them because they're so sexy. You know what I mean?
And honestly, what made it even worse for them as their characters, because like it's hard not to make the comparison. Like we already said that Madeline Klein's the Helen, Chase is obviously, you know, Ava is the Julie, Jonah I guess is the Ray. I mean, maybe Milo felt more like the Ray. Teddy Withers is definitely Barry.
Totally Betty.
And
Barry,
then you even mentioned that Sarah can be Max. So like
Sarah's all these basically the Max.
So there are these direct comparisons to the characters that we probably enjoyed in a much better movie done better, and that's what made them not kind of flow. Like it's so crazy too, because I watched a lot of behind the scenes stuff as they were making it, and then their press tour, they clearly all got along. Like the cast was like, the cast clearly have a great rapport with each other. I just wish that like completely translated on screen as like that I felt that closest, because I can feel it when I'm watching their interviews. I can feel it in the pictures they're posting from like a year ago up until today. Like that felt nice, but I just didn't like see that. Like there was no real friendship cohesion in the movie, other than like we're getting dialogue to say that like, oh, these two are getting married, these two had a thing in high school, they broke up, like, and then like he's still pining for her, but it's all because like the dialogue tells us like, oh, that's Stevie, she used to hang out with us but she doesn't anymore. Like it's all like, it's all stuff we're learning as they're saying it, and not because like
thank you. It's there is so much exposition. Much of the script, like I don't know, guys. Like this is what really aggravates me, and I'm sorry to be like grumpy old man, but we as writers are told so often in this industry, show don't tell. How the hell did this script get approved? Because that rule is actually wrong. This script, most of it is tell. Tell us everything. Tell us this, tell us that. With even the motives, I mean, like they're telling and I'm still not even sure. And it's just like, there is so much telling throughout this whole movie, guys, that like, oh, it's a visual medium. You're showing us very little. Oh God, it just annoyed me so much. But real quick, I do want to say, everyone's raving about Madeline Klein, rightfully so. She's great. My two standouts actually are Teddy, Tariq.
He has the best death scene. I actually thought
which is very Scream, Casey Becker dying.
Yeah, so the one time that my like any adrenaline kind of like it'd be during the movie was during that scene. I was like, all right, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because we didn't really know where it was going. You know,
like all that kills. The kills were so generic the whole time, right?
Yes.
And I actually felt bad for him as he was crawling away on the steps and all that stuff. And like I was like, all right, I was like,
that was interesting. I didn't love the statue. Is very interesting, but a better movie would have, again, copied the original, like copied the good things in the original. Do you remember in the original when they're meeting Missy, when they're meeting Anne Heche, and it's all over the trailer? I remember it was so exciting. Sarah Michelle Gellar turns and gasps and sees the slicker, right? We all are like, oh, it's Missy, right? That statue should have been, and maybe it was, and I just missed it because this movie is throwing a lot at us, and a lot of it's not really important. But that statue in a better movie would have been shown in the first scene at Teddy's house during the party. Establish it earlier and be like, what's with that statue? And then now we know. And later on, when he's drinking on their dock or whatever, and we see that in the distance, now we can start to be like, oh shit, something's now going to happen, right? To establish it then, and then, you know, and then the killer's standing in front of it and not behind it, like Scream 3, Ghostface in the row of Ghostface costumes with Jenny McCarthy. That is so effective with the head. You know, why is he standing in front of it? Like, there are just things that I'm like, copy what the greats have already done and then add your own spin on it. Don't add your own spin on it here. Do you know?
Yep, exactly.
That's my little rant about that. But no, good death. I didn't know if he actually was going to die or going to make it. Like, it kept me on my toes, whereas other people, it's like, okay, you know? Yeah. And then I did love how then his dad was right after him, which that was great.
Yeah.
You know, again, a callback to Scream 5 with Wes. What's his name? The blonde guy.
Dylan. Is it?
Dylan.
Is it Don't Breathe? Is it Bennett?
Yes.
It's like
God.
like,
Dylan Minnette. Yeah. What a cutie. I love him. But like knife going through neck, which was cool. Hook now goes through neck. So I'm like, you know, okay, remake. But at least that was a great double header. Really like that whole sequence. So Teddy stands out for me because he was the Barry. He was funny, but he also was serious and had heart. So like, everything was kind of working for me with
which
him.
Makes me, before I forget, it makes me look forward to what he might do in that movie Him, which actually looks pretty good. So we got a trailer for that, and like when this whole thing was over, I was like, we were going through like the cast. I was with my brother, and I was like, well, at least that guy had something to look forward to. He's in the Jordan Peele produced movie, and but I'm saying like he has potential to like be, if given a better movie, you know, you know, better
the worst part about him was two things, I'll say, and one is very stupid, and one I think not enough people are talking about. Very stupid thing. His hair was not good in this movie. I'm sorry, I know that's stupid. He would have looked great with like a buzz cut. Like the hairline was very strange. He looked far better in all the press than in the movie. I thought that was weird. Second thing, and we'll talk about the accident, I'm sure, but the accident, the guy in the car takes his jacket And like that's, and I thought,
And
oh,
we
that's
get
gonna come back to
nothing
bite him.
comes from it, right?
Nothing comes of it. That not even a
Yeah.
mention. Again, the
Yeah.
script is telling. We're not seeing, but we're hearing. What if someone said like, "Oh yeah, there was the fancy jacket in there." Felt weird that
Yeah.
that guy like had that jacket. Something, right? Why take a coat and the coat is not at all going to come up to scare them or to possibly get them in trouble? Guys, what is this? Like what?
I know. Well, and before, who was the other character that you thought was
The other character I want to just quickly shout out is, and I thought I would hate her, but guys, I loved her, and I love when people also love her. Gabriette, Tyler,
Yeah,
the
she was good.
podcaster.
I wanted
She
more
was
of her.
funny. I
wanted
actually
more of her.
wished. Yes, I wanted more of her. I wanted her to get out of. I actually think it would have been a great twist if she's doing the. And don't get me wrong, loved it. The great shivers.
That was a good callback to
like,
yeah.
You know, and I love how now it's a restaurant. You know, I think that was smart where it's like these iconic things are now changed. I thought that was really interesting. Going upstairs, I actually think a better twist because she had this great kind of. I guess it was really the only chase we got, which I don't even
Also
I cannot believe a franchise of great chases.
While making this movie, that they were so inspired by the original and its chase scenes and blah 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 blah.
Where is
and
any
we
chase?
didn't even really get one. And I was like,
and by the way, Jennifer Love Hewitt says in that podcast, she said she was actually going to get a chase, but they just couldn't make it work. For a time, she was going to get chased by Ray at the end, but they didn't like how, I guess, early Ray's reveal is. But I thought that would have been interesting actually for Julie to get a chase finally. Maybe in the next one, if we get another one, I don't know. We'll see. But I actually think it would have been interesting for Tyler to make it out alive. If we're upstairs, the mannequins, it's all repetitive, but this time the girl doesn't die. She makes it out. That would have been interesting. And how bold if actually, you know, Ava's the one that dies or something. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like when you're bringing in new characters, shock us, kill the new lead, like whatever. We're mostly there for the original actors. Kill off Ava, kill off Sam Carpenter, like early, like whatever. Let's really fucking like, you know, do something fresh, you know?
Yeah.
So I really like Tyler. Just had to give her a shout out because she was funny. She was us in her fangirl shirt. She kind of felt like she could have been a new Randy. And I'd say, still kill her. She doesn't need to live, but like, man, that could have been very interesting to see her meet Julie or Ray, and like, maybe Ray's like really like, who is this girl? And they can all be like, we don't even really know, you know, like, right. So I just want to shout out those two, but I've been blabbing. You go.
No, they were actually my two favorite new. Actually, and honestly, none of the other people do anything wrong. Like Jonah Howard King they all do the job that was given to them, and they do it well for what they're given.
And like, Jonah's death was one of the few times I was tense because you could sort of feel like, okay, the killer's in the back seat. Again, going to urban legend. And then the whole choking thing, sexual, sort of strange, but okay. And then, you know, so he at least gave us a good death. But
I was mostly surprised by him because I actually thought he might have been in on it.
Yeah.
Like when I was and then when because I was like, he's too nice. And honestly, the year later, he seemed the most well adjusted because he still seemed like he was a year before. Like nothing had really changed character wise. So I was changed. So I was like, okay, maybe he's in on it. But then he got choked out with the rope. I was like, oh well, it's not him. So that kind of threw me off. You know, if the movie was meant to throw me off, it threw me off there.
I actually wonder, Gaius, now you got my gears going. I wonder if a better movie would have been him since he was the Ray, but it's not actually Ray. I don't know. I just wonder, like, do you kind of give it to the love interest kind of normal guy who's kind of boring, cute but boring? Yeah. You know, because we all thought Ray could have been the killer back then. I don't know. Yeah, that's interesting. And then movie, what if it was Milo?
And everyone thought he was cute and boring in '97. Right. I guess it's a really. It just sucked that, like, you know, out of the four in that first movie, everyone's like, yeah, we love those three. Like that other guy.
Maybe that's why Ray's the killer. Ray's the killer because you know what? Freddie Prinze Jr. is like, I did a good job in what I could do in that movie. You know, he almost died. He's talked about on his podcast how he almost died making that movie in the water during the big finale. So actually, it could be really funny and meta.
And then
Freddie
I think
Prinze
him
Jr. is upset.
And also him and Jim Gillespie didn't get along either during the making of the first one. Like, there's all that.
So, he had a lot of pressure on him, Freddie, because I think also it was between him and someone else, and he had to really prove himself.
And that director didn't want Freddie. They wanted the other guy.
Kevin and the producers wanted Freddie, and the director didn't. Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. So speaking of the accident, I'm just gonna throw it out there right now. So the inciting incident in the original movie is really in your face. They hit a guy. They blatantly like run someone over.
Yeah.
I knew I was like gonna be kind of out on what was going on when I realized the inciting incident here didn't feel all that bad. So I was like, honestly, I think this could have been explained away in a way where it's like, hey, like, yeah, standing in the middle of the road, like they swerved. Like I don't know, they didn't hit anybody. I guess there was like not a lot of pressure that was put on them, like, especially all of them, because like this was one person. This was one person's fault. He was standing in the middle of the road, goofing around, while the rest of them were just kind of like innocent bystanders. At least in the first one, when they're all in the car together. They're all there. Like when someone gets hit, they're all kind of responsible because one person's like their friends drinking, whatever. There's a lot where like all of them are included before they even go like, okay, we're gonna dump the body now.
Yes,
there was none. I didn't really feel any of that here because like it just didn't feel all that bad compared to what we got in the original, and then the execution of it, and then like they're like, hold the truck, and like all this other stuff before it tips over. I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was enough, and I'd like to know what you thought.
I am right there with you, and luckily other people are with us too that I've talked to. I forgot to like really kind of clear my calendar whenever a big horror, especially slasher sequel comes up, because I've been like in DMs all day with people and I love it. I'm like, oh god, I have like things to do, so I appreciate it, but I'm like, oh shit. No, I totally agree with you guys, and I'm actually so bummed. I have not seen the I Know Amazon TV series, so I don't know.
I am not, but you know what's funny is that people are like kind of revisiting that now as like at least it felt like
is that maybe not as bad
brave idea.
I've heard it's awful. I've heard it's actually so awful, but I wonder. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try after this. We'll see. But I'm just so bummed because I still know it was a direct sequel, so there is no car accident. That would be silly. So it's a direct continuation.
You can't really
this
recreate
with a new accident. I just thought, this is your chance. Why don't you just do an adaptation of Lois Duncan's book where they do hit someone and it's a kid? And how terrible is that? Like, it's so heavy. And I thought they were maybe going to do that because Billy Campbell, who I love, the Rocketeer. Oh my God, so beautiful. Billy Campbell, I thought, he could be like the grizzled, depressed kid's dad, the red herring. It's so obvious, but no, it's actually not a car accident. They don't hit anyone. It's one guy, not even all that drunk or high, quoting Nicole Kidman, which was funny, but like he's just standing like in the road in a car. I thought actually we were gonna find out the guy driving the car, Stevie's boyfriend. What?
Sam Cooper.
Like, so weird. And we should have met him then in the beginning with Stevie. Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
He could have easily been one of the people helping her grab liquor.
Yeah, and maybe there's a little bit of flirtation. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. But I thought this car is speeding around Reaper's Curve that, he's done something wrong. Like I thought it was going to be sort of a remake in that how they hit Ben Willis and Ben Willis just killed David, right? I thought, this guy's up to something bad. But unless I missed something, no, he was just speeding himself around the curve. So I don't know. I almost feel like a better movie would have been that guy kills Teddy and begs them all to cover it up with him. Like, I don't know. I think there was a better, because then it's just like, one guy's in the road. They're not even having like a dance party. They're not all being idiots. It's one guy being an idiot.
It's one guy being an idiot. Yeah.
And then they all actually are doing the right thing of trying to help the guy. Somehow the guy, like we said, pulls the jacket off. So why was the window down? I'm trying to remember.
No, he punches it. The guy punches it and then pulls it.
So why why are they all trying to like pull the car back? You should all be trying to like reach in and I don't know. Right. If anything, there were 5 people in the car this time, right? Instead of the classic 4. If anything, I think one of them should have died. One of the friends should have died. And so not only are they covering up, you know what I mean? Like there just needed to be more to it because it actually was kind of tame compared to The Secret.
It was
original. So I agree with you. Like they, whatever.
And what made it even more frustrating is not only was the accident tame, but their reactions to it felt like unrealistic. I mean, like there wasn't enough like this is serious. Like, well, you know, in the original, you felt how serious it was. You felt how like everyone in that involved in that. You felt Julie and Helen's fear. You felt how Barry was probably the most scared, which probably why he was the most angry to kind of resolve it. In this one, it was a lot of like something like, I mean, Danica's dialogue was just like, I'm gonna get married in like a week. It was something like that, where she was like, I can't deal with this. Like it didn't really feel like something that was genuine. And then like the whole, I feel like they gave certain dialogue to people that they thought should say it, like, oh, like it was like, we should go down there. And then like I think Stevie even said it. And then they gave the appropriate like more stuck up people like, no, let's think about this. And then they gave Teddy the kind of like, let me yell at everyone real quick to kind of get them to submit. Like none of it felt like genuine. It all felt like
it felt like, by the numbers. It felt like this is what they said, so you need to say something similar. And like real quick, I want to mention, because you just reminded me, Gaius, I feel like once they like bring the car back to one of their very fancy rich homes, I'm just like, where are the middle class people? Like Julie was middle class. I mean, like,
so was Helen. Wasn't Helen basically poor?
Helen was like kind of on the lower end slightly,
I think
Barry
was
Barry was the only
rich
richy
one.
rich. And I feel like now they're all richy rich. But I do feel like, because Ava and Stevie were the only 2 out of the 5, if I remember correctly. I've only seen it once. I'm not like all these other horror gays, seeing it multiple times.
4 times. Have you seen that?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I was like, what?
But like, I feel like
so
Stevie,
digital over here.
Oh, I know, right? I mean, maybe I'll go again, but I really would not want to pay for it. I'm sorry. No. Like, and I wouldn't want to use a free ticket. Like, it has to be paid for by the studio to get me back there. But Stevie was sort of in line with Ava, like, no, we should go down there. We need to help him. We need to call the police. But then am I right in remembering that then Stevie is even kind of like, all right, Ava, like, are you in? Like, right?
It switches. Like, right. It switches right away. Like,
and that I feel like now that not only that we know what we know, but I feel like, again, Stevie was the outsider. She lost touch with these people. She, to me, should have been more like
having their backs. Exactly.
Where like then Teddy would have like gotten physical with her. Right.
There is dialogue that I thought worked with her, where basically if she had just stuck with we should go or she wouldn't have said like we should go down there. If they would have just gave her the dialogue where she says like she basically was like, I just got my life together. I can't, like, because there's this whole thing with Stevie where she, went to rehab and she had a drug problem, and like there's like all this background for her, right? All this background that's actually just dialogue driven. We don't really know,
and also in the end,
we don't see that struggle really. We just hear about it.
Right.
However, I thought it made sense if she hadn't said like we should go down there. If they just would have left her with the whole like, and that would maybe understand her guilt later when she finds out who it is. If she was like, hey, I've gone through a lot. I just got my life together. If they would just let her say that and not like have the whole bit of dialogue where she goes like, oh, let's go down there and help, I would have been okay with that. But her switch out of nowhere, it's just because the script told her to. I don't know. It's because the script.
I don't know, Gaius. I just got an idea that I think would have been better. I'm sorry, and I know I do this on your show a lot, but like, think of it this way: the car is teetering, and then it falls. What if Stevie, since again she's not that close with the other 4, they've lost touch. What if she is so adamant, like, no, I'm going down there. Like, sure, I'll keep your secret, but I just need to make sure, like, is he actually dead? Like, I feel so much guilt. What if she goes down there, they leave, and like they're now like there's a real panic. They're like, do we trust Stevie? Like, oh my God, and they just leave and we don't know. And Stevie, and that makes sense for Stevie's motive, because she'll go down there and see who it is, if she can even tell. I guess she can tell. Who knows, right? And then what if Stevie is the one that gets the "I know what you did last summer" note to make her look innocent, right? Like, I don't know. I think maybe the killer should have gotten the note. That would have been a bigger misdirect, right?
Yeah, I think it would have been. And honestly, guys, we've both seen this once. There's a lot of reasons. I think Stevie finds out later that it's Sam Cooper because I think he borrowed someone else's car.
He borrows the pastor's car,
which is why she doesn't recognize the truck. I guess if it would have been Sam's car, she would be like, that looks like his car. She would have immediately said something. So they do try to explain that away as that she finds out later, and that's what makes her go like crazy. I don't even think that motivation is enough for how she.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also just thinking like with this the way it is. What if it was the opposite? It was her. Let's say her boyfriend works with her. We meet him briefly. Okay, go have fun with your friends. It's fine. She recognizes the car, and it's her boyfriend's car, but someone else is driving it or something. Like I just feel like that's a bigger mystery, and like. And maybe the boyfriend, and then like part of the secret is she doesn't tell her boyfriend is alive a year later, and she still has not told him that, like, yeah, like we saw your car, like I just feel like there's a better mystery out there for sure.
Yeah. And I think the one interesting aspect of it, I mean, it's not quite utilized the way it could have been. I thought it was interesting that they played the whole like Teddy having connections and like giving the whole like now they're not the only ones hiding it, like they're able to get like the police. So I thought that was and I felt like in today's society that maybe that is how that probably could happen, where they're like,
that felt real. I like that.
My dad's connected, like whatever, right? And how it plays out a year later, where this is how we eventually get the legacy characters in, where they want to turn Southport into like this kind of like Hamptons area, right? And they want to do away with all the nonsense and fear from the 1997 they make it sound like it was like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, by the way they talk about what happened in 97, because like I mean I guess a few people did die, but like it doesn't feel that heavy compared to like
how many did die? 4? 1, 2,
so
3,
Helen, Barry, Elsa. Oh yeah, I forgot the cop and all that stuff. But there's some. Maybe because the franchise doesn't feel as like, oh, there was this big massacre in 97, like that.
The body count was much higher. Yeah, I still know.
I know, and that we have to commemorate this with like people are gonna forget, like whatever. So like, but I did like that aspect of the story. Like, all right, we're trying to cover up this thing and make Southport like this kind of almost like tourist destination and big, all this stuff, right? So I kind of got that, and why they want to make people forget what happened in Southport.
I guess so, but like they make it sound so easy. Like you have written articles. I remember one time at work years ago at ABC, I was going somewhere down south for casting, and it was confidential. And a local newspaper posted the casting notice for a hidden camera show in the local news. And I was like, oh my God, and my producer, like we were like, what? And I felt bad because it's like an agent, a local agent, like gave it to the news. And I was so furious. And I said, this is a hidden camera show. The whole point is people should not know. And I tried to get the newspaper to get rid of the article. And they literally said, well, is it not true? Is it a lie? I'm like, well, no, it's true. And they're like, well, if it's true, we can't take it down. So they did sort of like gloss over how like Billy Campbell, who honestly, I wasn't sure, is he a mayor or is he just like a developer?
I assumed that he was a mayor, but then
I guess he's the mayor.
But they talk about him as he's bringing in all.
Maybe he's a developer turned public figure mayor. I don't know. But they just make it sound so easy that I don't even remember his name, Mr. Whatever. Just like scrub the internet of the 97 July 4th massacre, and it's like. Okay, can you even do that?
Grant Spencer. Sorry.
Oh, Grant Spencer. He looks like a Grant Spencer. Good casting.
But yeah, they basically like throw it away with like one line about like how all the articles were like fudged from that time. They're all gone. And you're like, oh,
God, like you're killing me here. Like Gaius, we would if we made this movie. Okay, sure, mention that, and then have Ava, Stevie, even the podcaster when she's walking around town, which would have been brilliant. Like, also, why did the podcaster not tell them that? Like, I'm here because, or maybe she didn't. I missed it. Like, she's in the car with them.
No, she mentions it in the car where she's saying why she's there. Yeah, she's there.
And they don't really know.
She has a true crime podcast.
She has Live, Laugh, Slaughter, which is great.
Yeah,
but like, I feel like she should have been the one to say like, oh yeah, do you guys not know anything about this? Well, I guess you wouldn't because like they got rid of all these articles. Like, it's very hard to find. Like, she would have been the one to tell us that, but instead. Who did tell us that? Was it her or was it Ray?
I think eventually, and it's guys, it's because the movie is all over the place, which is why we can't remember all this stuff. I believe Stevie. Well, now we know why. Well, it's Stevie, which I guess in retrospect, once we find out how.
Yeah, it makes sense for her. Because they're talking about it when Danica says, "Oh, I need to start drinking." Like they're at one of their fancy houses.
And this is the only thing I did laugh at, and I know it was out of place, but it was only because of Madeline Klein's delivery of it. Is like Ava's like, and then like this, and I hate dialogue like this, but Ava was like, basically like, this has happened like once before, and like it started with an ominous note, and she's like going through this whole thing with like about Julie and Ray, and I loved how Madeline Klein interrupted. And she's like, guys, and she's like, I got an ominous note, and I was like, and it was like funny in the moment because like it was just how she said it,
right?
But then I immediately I was like,
she's sort of ditzy, yeah,
also out of place too. But like,
right,
I didn't like how clumsy, because it felt cheesy too, where it's like, guys, this has happened before, and like this happened, you know, like the year before.
After Scream 5, you know, with Samantha Carpenter, it's just like we've heard that dialogue before, you know, this has happened before here, you know, it's just so repetitive. Oh God, you know.
So so that's how we kind of get Ray in the mix, because CV works with him,
right?
And he hasn't left Southport.
Which also, I don't know, Gaius, like she works with him, and I guess it's sort of a reveal because we meet her and she says, "Oh, my boss, I'm here on behalf of my boss." But wouldn't it have been kind of cool to meet Ray right in the beginning? Like, ooh, like that would have been like, oh wow, we're already meeting Ray. He's working the event. We see him still kind of as the help. You know, like
he hasn't grown much. At least
I
not
think
sense.
Seeing him early on working the party would have helped me understand his motive more. Maybe, I don't know. You know,
so that's how.
But I just feel like bring up how there are no articles, and then show me someone looking on their phone, opening up the old laptop. Like, wow, you're right. How is there nothing on this? Like, is your dad really that powerful? Like. There's more to that conversation, like show, you know what I mean? But they're all just like, okay, well, this podcaster said that. It's just like moving on. The whole movie just felt like, all right, moving on. I'm like, well, wait. We need to let that like kind of marinate here a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And also, you know, I mean, because the movie jumps from one scene to the next, by the time that Ava seeks out Julie's help, it's like the way she's talking about it. She's just like, 2 people right now are dead. And I was like, well, you didn't really know the podcaster, so you met her hooking up in the bathroom, right? Because you hook up with strangers now. That's your that
was an aggressive hookup. Wow.
yeah. That's how your trauma is affecting.
I was so confused. I was like, wait, I thought she was into Milo. I just figured she was straight because of that. But she's bi. Okay.
Yeah, her trauma is she wants to have sex with strangers and ask them to choke her, and you know that would have been fine to do that if maybe everyone had like a piece of like, oh, this is how this event has affected me. I feel like that's what they were trying to do with Ava, to show how she changed in the year, but it was so like,
I guess so.
It was so clumsily done that like, because like in the beginning she wasn't talking about, you know, wanting to be choked and blah blah blah. I feel like it was just thrown in there to kind of be like, oh, this is what the year has done to her, and like it wasn't enough to like. I was like, oh, that just felt clumsy and lazy and like,
I don't know. There was something about that I'm like, wait, I felt like I was behind. I'm like, wait, what? And like, and then the hand, I didn't even put together that like I don't know. I just think better direction would have been like, sure, maybe Tyler's going down on her, and maybe she does do this, but it just wasn't shot well. Does she take Tyler's hand and put it on her neck? Or does she do that? Okay, I guess I was so floored. I'm like, oh my God, she's hooking up with a girl? I thought she was into Milo. Wait, what? Like, this movie throws multiple things at you, and maybe I'm just getting old. Like, maybe young kids can sort of understand multiple things at once, but I'm kind of a classic moviegoer where I'm like, okay, I understand that. What's next? But when you're throwing multiple things at me, I'm like, I'm only gonna focus on one thing right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and we talked about this a little bit when we were bitchy, but you know, Julie James is a university professor now, of course.
Which I like.
Of course, dealing with trauma and PTSD. I love when people share, like people have been sharing that like that super cut
Jamie
of
Lee.
Jamie Lee Curtis. They're like, they're like, I know you did that summer in a nutshell. It's all about trauma, and then like, so that's what she.
But honestly, I wish it was about. I wish it was more about trauma, because these kids are not really that traumatized. Like,
at all.
You know. Like, you know, but I do love that she's a professor. That was fun to meet. It was fun to re-meet her. Her first scene in the movie is fun with the scream that she does, which I just heard.
A nice little callback was
right.
It's happening again, which was kind of fun. Like from my still know,
I did appreciate that. But she apparently wasn't even going to scream at all in the movie. That wasn't in the script, and they realized that was her idea. That was her idea to do like kind of like a scream in the classroom. And the director Jennifer was like, oh yeah, we don't even have you screaming. All right, let's do that. So it's just like, hello. You know?
It is true. I mean, it's interesting too, because of course, the Julie we meet today shouldn't be the Julie that we met in like 97 and
Right.
98.
No. Yeah.
And she should be shrinking like Jennifer Love Hewitt did back in the day. So I get that, but I'm glad that she came up with that herself to kind of like remind the
I
kids
appreciate that she was thinking.
She's got a final girl scream.
Yes.
She has a genuine great final girl scream.
Oh my God. I watched a
be,
couple episodes of 911 this season, including like, I don't know if you watch it all, but like there was a really great like kidnapping slasher episode. Oh, she was working. That one, yeah. Oh, she was so good in that show. Oh my God. So yeah. So I'm glad she took the time to like think about her character and like add these little things in. And, she really wanted to say, what are you waiting for? Huh? Which is funny because I know that's the big line from the first movie, but I don't think about that as much as I think others do about the original. You know what I mean? I think of other things come to mind more than that for me personally.
Well, it's so funny because it's and a lot of people think it's a cheesy moment in the original. I don't. I think it's handled well. Like it's like in there.
I think it's as seriously done as you can.
I think because Scary Movie makes fun of it.
Right.
And I think
it's so good in Scary Movie.
But so how did you feel that they completely, before you even get to the reveal at the end, that they've completely like decimated that relationship between her and Ray, that they're not together anymore, like that's his ex-wife, like there's all this bitterness between them, like
I guess the vibe.
Now I know a lot could change in like the as many years as it was since like I still know.
Right.
But the last we saw them, there was like love there, but he came out.
Totally.
He fought his way to get to the Bahamas.
He went through every natural disaster to get to Bahamas. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm like, it is weird that he's the killer because he was so. Well, I guess maybe it makes. I don't know. His being a killer both makes sense and doesn't make sense in equal parts. It's so wild. Anyway, but no, going back to your question, like. Wait, oh my God, I got sidetracked. What was your question?
No, they just kind of completely destroy that relationship, and it's like
the relationship. Thank you. Yes,
they're now exes, and like
the last time we saw them,
there's no love at all.
Right, the last time we saw them, before she's pulled under the bed in what we now can definitely assume is a dream sequence. But like, it seems like they have a house together. He's obsessing over a toothbrush. It's nice and cozy. So. Yeah, like it was sort of, I had a feeling from pictures and from trailers, I had a feeling they're not together anymore. It's going to be like Gale and Dewey, but to be married and divorced, I was like, whoa. At least with Gale and Dewey, we had Scream 4 where they were married and having some marital tension, right? Whoa, this movie is completely skipping that whole chapter. I just figured, how about maybe they were engaged, but they broke it off? Like my brain needed time to process like, oh shit, they are divorced. So I understand and would have probably done the same thing that they're not together anymore because there's just maybe too much misery, grief, bad memories, but also the way they treat each other. Like we are not married anymore. And I feel like Freddie said like, thank God. And it's like, well, wait, what was so bad?
Yeah.
Like
and we don't even know. Other than their trauma, and like they mentioned in the dialogue, there's hints of like, you handled it one way, I handled it another, and that is what ultimately, I guess, broke them up. But we need more than just throwaway lines about like, well, you didn't understand my grief, and whatever. Like we needed more than that. And I feel like missing that whole middle section of like their marriage and like what could have happened to completely break them up was really something that we missed out on by having them, because like I said, if you're a fan of this franchise and the last thing you saw from them was them hugged up and like them also realizing that Carla's alive and she's all like good old Ray, like she's all like he's like
good old Ray,
that's the last time we see them and they're like happy. I mean, I don't know, like and now, and like I think it's more off-putting because like Freddie Jr., of course, he's older now, but he's in this movie so gruff and like he looks angry. Everything about him in this movie just felt angry, and then even she's like harsh with him. Like,
she's harsh with Ava. I kind of love how as soon as Ava's like Julie, and then she just turns out she's like, what? Like it's like shit, okay, wow, which I don't know if I like that. I mean, it's fun, but Julie's at work at campus. Ava seems college age. I kind of would have rather had Julie be like, yes, hi, do I know you from class? And then Ava says like, I need to talk to you about 1997. And for Julie's face to change, I think that would have been better. But whatever, that's minimal. But and I think to set up that they are divorced we need more time with them. Like we definitely needed more time with them. They had both of them. I just saw Ryan C. Showers, another fellow podcaster, just put out. I do appreciate his running time of the characters.
The time.
I don't know if you saw this. He just did it like the other
slightly
day.
More than he has like slightly more than her, right? Like it's a
yes.
little bit, like
Freddie's in it for like a minute longer, maybe because of like the stuff with Ava and like the girls, right? But I was surprised because Jennifer, I feel like I remember I saw more of her than Freddie in this movie, so that was weird. But both of them less than Scream 5 or 6 with any of the returning characters. I know 6 was really just Gale. So yeah, less screen time. So that was interesting to see. I really feel like we are missing a scene with Julie and Ray and maybe even some of the kids where like they're talking about their marital issues. Like they're talking about their past. Do you know what I mean?
Like what happened to them in the wake?
Because
of,
he shows up at her door, which I did love. Like that whole moment was fun with the whole like security camera thing, and I liked all that.
And then her being annoyed when she realizes it's him.
Yes,
like she looks so annoyed that she was.
But then like it's sort of a dud of a scene, honestly. Then he just says like, you can't be telling Ava that like she should go like fight this herself. And then like what else do they say? Then it's just kind of the scene's over.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. Basically, like, I guess the crux of the argument was like you can't tell her like to confront your problems, and I guess in that dialogue,
that's where we learn.
Well, you're not really confronting his, like like there's like why there's tension between them. I would like to know at least maybe how you feel, how much of like this return and all that, and like how she's used, how they're used together. I mean, because she did sign on late. I mean, and that's not a secret. Like, it took them a while to figure out. I guess like probably logistics money, and then also her 911 schedule. So like I just wonder how much of this was affected by the fact like she was thrown in so last minute.
Right. Which is weird because she was involved for a while. Like she was talking about this like over a year ago. You know what I mean? Like saying like it might happen. Like it's looking good. So she was involved. But then I don't know. I just feel like
that's like they would have to run a script. Like what if they were like they couldn't get her?
Yes,
like they had to run.
I'm sure they got
didn't include her.
I bet you they got Leah McKendrick's script last year, and then maybe Jennifer and Freddie, maybe the studio had some issues, and so then it was taking time for the rewrites. So like. I assume that's what happened because for a while in every interview, Jennifer would say like, we're working on it. We're almost there. I want to make sure it's as good as it can be. So like, but then for the shooting, it's just like, where's Jennifer? And like, she's not officially like announced. Like it is weird. So you wonder like was it Jennifer?
You're like,
with the kids, like, I almost get the vibe. I think, I mean, we're spoiling things. So Sarah Michelle Gellar's cameo, I think, was filmed before Jennifer shot anything.
I kind of got that impression.
She went down to Australia before Jennifer was even.
Because I think that stuff, I think that whole like I'm spending the time with my kids and Freddie in Australia, while easy cover because that's your husband, and of course he's shooting this movie, and
Madeline Klein has said.
Why not take a trip to Australia? Yep.
Right. Might as well hang out with your friends, hang out with your husband, go on vacation. And they shot that in a day on a Saturday. And it was like it was all kind of like impromptu, wasn't officially on the schedule until a few days before, wasn't in the script until, which you can feel that was not really an idea.
I wanted to love that little cameo more.
Oh God, I would have loved it, but one quick thing I want to say before we get to that, because I feel like that's probably the next big thing to talk about. I just feel like we needed more time with Ray and Julie, and maybe it was in that scene at her house, and other friends have said this, so I can't take complete credit because I'm right there with how some people think this. Still have your Carla scene at the end, but I feel like they're arguing, Ray and Julie are arguing, you can't tell Ava to do that. Well, we do things differently as is obvious now. We live separate lives. What if her phone vibrates and it's Carla calling her? And what if Ray says like, oh, wow, so you still keep in touch with Carla? It's like, of course. Yeah, I'm. And then through Carla calling, we learn more about them. We get another minute or two of screen time of like, maybe she could say like, well, yeah, of course I'm good at keeping in touch with people, unlike you, we learn more about the unraveling of their relationship, and then Carla missed call. I'll call her back later. And then maybe he says like, well, tell her I say hi, even though I know she hates me. There's just things that we could have and then later on, then we see Carla,
right.
And that could have been interesting for Carla's boyfriend, husband, to be like, do you still keep in touch with her? And I feel like she says like, no, we lost touch, which is so weird. It's like, well, that's a bummer.
She's begging along the lines of like, there's always something happening to that girl. Like that was her dialogue.
Yeah, like right. When it would have been better or nicer for her to be like, I called her the other day. I call her every now and then, but she doesn't always return my calls. So there's always something that's going on with this girl.
Right.
Which also I'm like, but is there? She seemed to be
but
a
also
pretty normal professor.
Also felt like something Carla wouldn't say. I mean, like.
Right.
I mean, that felt like more like Jennifer Kane Robinson wanting everything to be kind of like smart
bitchy. Like everything had to be so cold. I'm like, does anyone? I mean, Julie's the only. Well, Julie's kind of cold, like we said in the beginning. But then she like warms up pretty quickly. Like, does anyone have a heart in this goddamn movie? Right? Tyler, the podcaster, is the only one who. Well, even she's kind of sassy. I don't know. But no, I feel like should we next talk about the SMG cameo, or was there something you want to get to before?
Well, you know what? We can we'll put both of the cameos together since we're already talking about Ray and Julie. The big reveal, I guess, is not only is Stevie in on it, which also doesn't make a whole lot of sense either.
And it's very Brenda Bates, very Rebecca Gayheart in Urban Legend, with like my boyfriend and like
she's good. I mean, I'll give her credit. Like she handled the transition well. I actually thought she was fun. Yeah. But then I'm like, because I'm reading all these stuff online before I see the movie, they're like, oh, this movie makes like one big bold swing. And I was like, and at first I was like, this can't be the big bold swing. That is her. And then it's revealed that Ray is also in on it. And in the theater, I was surprised because I was like, oh, yeah, that's surprising, right? But then how I could describe how I feel about it now is that someone took a quote from Jennifer Love Hewitt talking about the reveal. It was like, basically, if you're going to come back this many years later, you have to do something wild, you have to do something crazy, right? And then someone commented under that said, not under her writing it, but under the story, and basically said like, but you have to earn it. And they said that the movie does not earn this big wild twist of a reveal, and that actually helped me realize how I felt about it. It is shocking because it's a surprise, but you really don't earn it. And
it wasn't all that shocking either. You know what I mean? Like there were rumors, and also it's kind of like, well, there's only a few people left, and like that's the thing. It was a bold move, but was it shocking? Not really. It could have been shocking if we spent more time with him and we're really getting to know him, but he's so on the supporting side that it's like, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah. And his big reasoning is because like the people of Southport are forgetting what happened, and like, basically what happened to them mattered. And maybe I would have understood a bit more, because from the first one to the second one, when we meet him and I Still Know, he's all like happy go lucky, and like wants Julie to come back to Southport, and she's the one that's like, and I guess that's the same kind of relationship they have now. Like he was in Southport, like, Julie, please come for 4th of July. She's like, I don't know if I can. That's how she is, and I Still Know. Yeah. And this one, she doesn't live in Southport anymore, and like she went away and he stayed. So I guess that part of the relationship is still true, but like but his demeanor in both those first movies is not someone who like. I mean, of course, we didn't know what happened to him after I Still Know, but it's just a big jarring jump that you're right. In order for it to work, I would need to know how that guy that we met those first two movies, who actually got through that first movie, being a red herring in that first movie, even amongst his friends, even though we actually agreed when we talked on the podcast before about the 25th anniversary that Ray probably was not really a friend of theirs other than through Julie. Yeah. And that was it, right? And then I Still Know he seemed like a pretty well-adjusted dude. We need to see like how it could have broken him, and I guess that's why it doesn't totally work, because we don't really see it, and we don't really know how it broke him. And I guess that's kind of.
And also, like, we don't really know because we're only ever in Ray's bar when it's closed.
Yeah, there's never people there.
So I don't know. Like, is he successful? Because hey, some bars that look like that in a coastal town are the place to be. Yeah. So I assume that he's not doing that well, and so he's because if he was doing well, why would he want the town to know? There's just so much that is not explained, and which is funny because the script explains so much, but like there's just so much that we're missing from. It's very rare nowadays especially, but really in the history of horror, very rare for a former survivor to become a killer. It can work really well sometimes if you put the care and effort into us being with them and understanding and maybe actually being sad for him and maybe not wanting him to die even though he's crazy, you know?
Like,
but
I don't know if you remember back in the day when there was like I think from like maybe going to Scream 4 that there was so many theories of like, yo, let's make it Sydney this time. And like honestly, I never wanted that, but I was like, it would make a hell of a lot of sense because she's been through a lot. So I would have been like, she could snap, right? Like, you know, at least we would have seen.
And it would have always made sense with Gail because, you know, like she wants more books, more blood means more money. So, I mean, you know, that could work. But with Ray, I don't know, this whole thing of, I want them to remember they're forgetting about us. Then I just feel like we needed to know, like we needed to see Ray's bar on a Saturday night, someone going in there and it's dead and him panicking and him being like, I might have to close. Like no one cares about me. You know what I mean?
And there was like I actually think I agree with that. And there was also this like I assume that she was trying to do, and maybe I was reading too much into it. It seemed like she always was infusing that dialogue with this kind of like meta, almost true life thing of like, since these two are the legacy stars, they're older. This whole like the people are forgetting about us, and then she's like, you know, that doesn't really matter. Like, you know, and she's like, nostalgia is overrated. She has that whole line too. Like, I really felt like that was trying to be like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is also about like the people playing these roles, which I guess could have been smart in a different movie. It just didn't work here.
Maybe, especially, you know what? I like that a lot, Gaius, especially if, again, we got more time with the two of them. And what if they were walking around Southport? Like, what if actually, you know what could have been actually really interesting? Oh my gosh, Gaius, knowing that Ray is the killer, which I have a question about that, and don't let me forget it. What if, so they have this like kind of bitchy talk at her house, and then what if they meet up again, one more scene, and actually they're walking around Southport and she's like, this is so weird that I'm back. And he's like, yeah, I've been wanting this for years for you to come back. And they're actually kind of nice to each other. And what if they're warming up a little bit, which could be interesting because it's like, oh my gosh, maybe they'll get back together. Oh shit, he's the killer, you know? But also it can tie into, wow, people really don't know about us anymore, huh? Because people are walking by them and no one notices. Like maybe Julie says like, wow, I figured the two of us would get a couple eyes, but it's kind of nice being invisible again because so many people back in 97, 98 were like obsessed with us. You know what I mean? Like to show that people have forgotten about them. See, that's if the theme,
that would have been way more
the theme of the motive is forgetting about the past and nostalgia for like certain things, that needed to be clearer from the get-go. Going back to my idea of what if Ray's in the beginning working with Stevie? What if he's so desperate and says, hey kids, well congrats. Hey, you know what? I'll give you a free bottle of champagne at Ray's. Come on down. Like it would be great to have you on a Friday or Saturday. Do you want to come down? And he's so desperate. Like bring people. Like I would love it. The bar's great. You know, and then they say in the car, like, God, he is desperate for like business. Just let it go. You know, like there are just seeds that could have been planted very quickly, very easily. And you know, so I like that Jennifer Caton Robinson is a fan, but I don't know, girl, like I'm a fan too. We're fans. And like, there's other ideas. I don't know.
It makes me question how, I mean,
like, what did you watch? What things did you pick up from the first movie?
It's so interesting because like she went back and forth, I guess, with her co-writer about if I still know should be canon. Right. And there's something that's so jokey campy about this movie that I'm like, it feels more I still know coded than like the original one, which is why
so
I'm like,
funny you say that because the energy is kind of more like I still know, but we're ignoring that to the point where someone says in the movie, like Julie James, she's been through this once. And I was sitting alone in the theater and there were very few people. I saw it, like I said, a Thursday afternoon, very few people and a lot of people that were just there solo. I said out loud, I forgot I wasn't home. I was like twice. Like twice, you know, so they didn't update the script to like, I like Freddie's joke about like when Teddy says, Bahamas. Why don't we just get in the yacht and go to Bahamas? And then like Ray's like, I highly urge you not to do that. You know, that made me laugh. I like that. But that was the only real line before Carla's reveal at the very end.
Right. Also a good example of like how the audience could be split because I saw it was fairly decently packed Thursday night because like it's a horror movie or whatever. Right?
Yeah, I kind of wish I went like with a crowd, but I'm kind of glad I was in such a quiet theater to like study it, you know.
But half that crowd did not get why that lie was funny, and like
No.
I like you can hear like some people like chuckle, and then you can tell like other people in the audience are just seeing it because it's a slasher movie and not because they have any connection to the other ones. So like like my brother leaned over to me, he's like, "Why is that funny?" I was like, "Oh, you haven't seen."
Oh my god! Oh, blasphemy!
So, like,
oh my
so,
god!
like,
I love that
so,
line.
like,
That's one of my faves of the movie.
So you know, I do love though. I put it on my Instagram like when the movie was over, and like my brother, this first thing he said was like, "I felt nothing watching that movie."
Oh my god!
Like he didn't feel he hated the characters. Like every single character he hated, and like except for like he didn't mind like the legacy characters. So he like at least like the movie gave like some reference as to why they should be there. And but like he said everyone else was just so mean and like
so mean. And, yeah. You know, I think let's talk real quick. The movie was not number 1. It was number 3 or 4.
No, number 3.
Right?
$13 million opening weekend.
13 million in the US, 24 internationally. So sure, definitely better than some movies, but like not great and definitely not great compared to the Scream.
No, so I wonder if it turns a little. It's an $18 million budget, but plus they had to market it.
Oh, and the marketing was crazy. For this movie.
They ramped it up hard. They each got character posters. I mean, I was like, what horror movie did that?
Yeah.
I don't think Scream did that.
I think they did, but like,
no, they did. They did for Scream, right?
They did for both. Yeah. So they totally copied 5 and 6 with like their posters, but just like all the ads, all the events. Like I feel like this cast was at a lot of places, but the thing is, it didn't do well. Why? Maybe because people found it way too redundant to have another car accident. Like, what are the odds? Like, and I was one of those people. What are the odds there's another freak car accident that you're going to cover up
on the 4th of July?
On the 4th of July, like, guys, this is silly. This is silly. That's why anyone who hates, I still know. I'm like, there was no car accident on the July 4th. You know, like they continued it, right?
I mean, it does hinge on the whole like idea of like you just can't know what the capital of Brazil is, I guess.
Don't even. I get it. It's silly and dumb, but at least it wasn't so by the numbers to the point where it's like, wait. On the same holiday, in the same town, on the same street, another person is going to die in a car accident. Like, what? I thought it was going to be set up. I thought the only way for this to work is the killer is forcing an accident to happen. So in that case, you would think it would have been Stevie who's dancing with Teddy and is like, and knows someone's, you know what I mean? Like that would have been the only way for it to really work is it's all intentional. It wasn't an accident, right? But the other thing I was going to say is maybe it didn't do well because people could see the bitchy, sassy comedy humor in the trailers, and everyone was so pretty, like I said in the beginning of this chat, so wardrobified, so styled, you know. And it's like we see that on Instagram. Do we need to see that in the sequel to I Know, when like, you know, so many of them they never look bad, but I mean, like Jennifer Love Hewitt looks sad and mopey, and like there's darkness to the first films, you know what I mean? And this is so glitzed. So I'm just like, I think people are like, I see that for free on my phone, right?
I had a weird, as far as like its box office, because like I didn't really look until the Monday, and usually I would be like on top, like I wonder how well the movie did, because I didn't even look at the Friday numbers because I was, you know, I saw what it did in previews, and 2.2 million in previews isn't bad because like they're comparing it to like, you know, Evil Dead Rise and a few other movies that gross upwards of 20 million with those preview numbers. But I was like, I have a feeling that this is gonna like crater a bit throughout the rest of the weekend. Like it's not hitting. Its tracking was 18 to 20. It fell way below that, at least domestically, right?
Lower and lower. Wow.
So how I felt once the weekend was over and saw it, I was like, well, I felt bad for Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I guess by extension Freddie Prinze Jr., who they're all excited to come back. So I wish it would have done better for them. And then I'm like, well, a total of 24.6 million opening weekend internationally with domestic with an $18 million budget isn't horrible. If it can kind of like limp to like 50 million worldwide by the end, would that be enough to get a sequel? I don't know if Sony wants to put that much effort into when they see how like the Scream legacy sequels have done. I think better. I think Scream 5 domestically made 89 million. Like, and that was
was it that much? Okay, yeah. And then I know the opening for 6 was like the biggest the franchise has ever had.
Yeah, I think it was like 46 million, and then it was the highest grossing one. I think this in a while. Like it did like 163 by the end of its run.
Nice.
And like So when you look at numbers like that, and then you look at like what might be a $50 million final here,
maybe because that these movies, it's not like Scream 1 back in the day. These movies are front loaded, so I would be shocked
even with this summer weekend, like with the target audience like being out about, not in school. Like I don't think this is like.
I wonder if they actually should have copied what the first two did, and even though this is a summer movie, release it in the fall. Because I probably would have done a lot better. Forget how I Still Know did. I know it wasn't number one, but I think it made a decent amount of money.
I think it was second the weekend it came out. Waterboy was number one that weekend. That's so weird that I remember that. But it was like, but it had a bigger. Probably a bigger opening than the first one. It did like 16 something, but not much more than the 15.8. That the first one opened to. So, and it made $40 million domestic, but it still was a hit in terms of its budget.
Yeah, it probably did well. I mean, not as well as the first one, but it did well. But so we know that these movies nowadays, especially, but kind of almost always, they're front loaded. So if that's the highest that it was going to make in the first weekend, what are the odds the second weekend? We'll see. But what are the odds that it's going to be equal to or more? I don't think so.
Nope, right? Nope. It's dropping at least by half.
So if it makes enough to make a sequel, I would assume, and I would hope, but I would assume they cannot shoot in Australia. They cannot do these big. Not that this movie did anything that big, but like the cast is gonna have to be smaller, which I think might be better for a sequel. You know,
did you hear like she has this like kind of like her idea for the second one? This kind of
I do love the idea. I do love the idea, and I've wanted this idea for the Scream movie since so many women have survived. To really get like who is the final girl. So I still know part 2, we'll call it.
What do you call it?
Could kind of break new horror ground in that it's we'll call them OG final girls and these new final girls teaming up to, I guess, go after Stevie, a final girl killer who is still alive.
Oh yeah, they casually mentioned that.
They just casually mentioned that, and then it didn't even get a close up, guys. That is big news. That is big news that your friend who was a killer is still alive, guys. Like in the late 90s, that would have been a close up on their eyes, and the music would have started, and that would have been a very eerie ending. Instead, they're like, can you believe she's still alive? Really? No way. I can't believe it. Cut to the beach. Like, what?
The beach.
You know, but so also, like, I guess it could be fun for 4 good girls to go against a bad girl, but oh god, now I just feel like, is this Sex and City 2 in Abu Dhabi? Like, we just have to go full romp, girls. You know what I mean? Like,
you have to go all in on whatever this was. One thing I do have seen online, and I didn't really, I guess I kind of felt it as they said it. Someone made a point that none of the men survive, so the guys die. The only people around the girls, and then like people did not like in the dialogue where they basically were like, basically the moral of the story is that like men need to get therapy, and like some people took that as like, does this movie like hate men? Or like, what is the issue here, right?
Like, it's a little silly to react that way, but I have seen some people write that as well.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. I didn't think it was like that much. I was like, I don't think the movie is deep enough to go there. But I guess it was interesting to like kind of look at. I was like, oh yeah, like none of the main guys that are survive. They both die. All the actually men of significance get killed off.
Yeah.
And then the kind of throwaway of like, you know, like funny, like this all could have been resolved if like men would have just got therapy. I was like, oh well. I mean, but that's what happens when you're
isn't that how a lot of life is? Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, is that line wrong? Right? I mean, let's be real.
Maybe not. But like, that is what that kind of reaction you get when your dialogue and your script is so flippant about it. And then
I wonder if,
I wonder why the reaction to that.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to.
No.
What were you saying?
No, I think that's where the reaction is. If your script is so like nonchalant, flippant about it, maybe that's why people are reacting to that message that they think they're seeing as like, this movie hate men. But it is done in a very flippant kind of way at the end. It's like a joke, but you know.
And Madeline Klein's character is very flippant. So we by then, because I believe she says it at the very end. So I mean, we would expect her to say that. I wonder if people wouldn't. And I say people, I'm sure it's a very small sliver of people. I wonder if straight guys maybe wouldn't take that to heart if maybe Jennifer Love Hewitt said that line, you know, if it was like someone who's been through this, who had kind of like a fun quippy line, but you know, Which that could have been interesting if she did say it at the end, holding like Ava, like if only men went to therapy. But I don't know. Like, then it's not the right place or time. I don't know. Right. But that line did not bother me. And we have to remember, like, it's a female director, and a female co-writer, a male co-writer who might be queer. I don't know for sure. I get the feeling he might be. And another female, story by. So, and the movie is so like yassified that it's like, of course it's going to be not the nicest to especially straight men. So I did not expect to
Sam Lansky was reportedly a ghostwriter on the Britney Spears memoir. I did not realize that.
Was he really? I think I knew that.
I was like looking at what he had done, what he's done.
He hasn't done much. He has not done much. So I think
he's mostly he has a journalism background, mostly.
Right. Journalism, and I think he's just Jennifer's friend. And
he's written for New York Magazine, The Atlantic, Esquire, and Out Magazine, as well as he was on the editorial staff for Times. So that's what he's done.
He plays like a very small, I guess you could say, cameo, non-speaking, as like Danica's engagement party planner with the photographer when she opens I'm pretty sure that's him. Right. Which that I did like the idea of, like, now it's like a card at a party in front of people. Like, don't get me wrong, people. Like, I know some people love this movie and think it's the best sequel ever. I don't know how you think that, but there are some things that work. There are some ideas that I like. I think some ideas on paper worked well. I just think this movie really lacked a lot of suspense and tension. And notice how like whenever the fisherman was around, he was sort of like, all the camera had to do was like, he was right there, or like he was just standing behind them. Like, I don't know, the original,
and not with any real suspense. Like, if you think about the scene in the department store in the first one where he's hiding underneath the plastic that they put on the mannequins, and like that scene. I mean, even though you can see his silhouette when the camera pans to it, it's so dark, and the way it's shot, it's so well shot that your eyes are like, did I just see that, or did my eyes deceive me a bit? And this, it was just like the camera just like, bow, and like there was no real, like,
all the time. And I one of my favorite shots from the first movie is, blink and you miss it. Elsa has just let Helen in. Elsa locks the door of the store. Lock all the other doors. By the time she gets to the back door, the scene starts with the door
it's
shutting.
shutting. Yeah,
and I don't think I caught that at first when I was a kid. Seeing, it's very subtle. None of that exists in this movie. There's no little moments like that, or if there are, they're very few. And by the way, real quick, going back to the plastic on the mannequin, I just thought, you're gonna kill Tyler the podcaster in The Old Shivers. Like, this time, the killer was under the plastic. Why not? And also kind of Black Christmas of the killer to do this. Why not now put her in the plastic and smother her with the plastic? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's okay to go further with some of these callbacks, but switch it up. We see the mannequins under the plastic. Now use that as a weapon. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on, Anyway.
Yep. And and a lot of people have, like, I've seen reviewers saying that, who didn't like this movie, who were like, well, the original, which I don't love, where they're like, well, the original wasn't that great anyway, so we don't know why it gets.
I know. I don't like that either, because it's like,
and then they throw in insults that he looks like the Gorgeous Fisherman. It's not really a scary, like, foreboding character, right? But if you look at certain shots in the original one, he looks ominous and pretty foreboding. Like, there's a scene at the scene after she gets herself up on the little elevator thing and like climbs out, and he turns the corner, and it's just basically like a dark silhouette of him, like, and you don't see his face really. And there's shots of him even when you do kind of see his face, like when at the parade and she finally notices
you see a little bit of nose.
But it's still cool looking shots of him. Like, it's ways to make that character look scary. The movie seemed to try to make him scared. Like, every time he walked, it felt like Godzilla was walking. Like,
oh my god! Right in the beginning, like with the first death, I was like, why is the floor like shaking? I mean, I kind of liked the idea of it, but like, well, this is too loud. Like, he's just wearing fisherman boots. Like, it's not like he's got big Godzilla platforms on. Yeah, it was so strange. One quick thing I just want to say, isn't it so cool that, like how you said, because I love that shot too, at the top on the, once Helen gets off the it's like elevator dumbwaiter, whatever it is, and he just turns the corner, and the music kind of stops, and she does that like and like you know,
like her reaction is like, I've got nowhere else to go.
Yes, like that's but isn't it so cool? I just have to like brag a bit that I have been up there. We were allowed to go up there. I have been up there. I have seen the window that she jumps out of. I have stood where, oh my God, Gaius. It's all through this amazing thing called On-Set Cinema. On Instagram, it's Myers House NC. I forget his name, but this guy does screenings in real locations where these movies were filmed. Like this fall, I was just there, so I wouldn't go right away, but I do want to go again. He'll do Scream in Woodsboro High School, which is a community center in Sonoma, California. Like, oh my God, you guys gotta follow him. So cool. It was so cool to watch the movie. Where Elsa got killed.
I love when people do something like whether they're screening stuff like that or if, where people just visit located. Like I know, I forgot the guy's name that does it, but is it Horror's Hollow Grounds where that guy would go from different locations and like, and that's when I learned a lot of stuff was shot here. Like there's some of Carrie that was shot in our like Hermosa Beach like playhouse, but that used to be like it used to be a school, so some of that gym stuff is shot there. You know, a lot of the original Halloween and Halloween 2 are in different parts of like Pasadena and like Hollywood that they're made to look like Middle America. The Nightmare on Elm Street house is here. Yes. So like it's like there's a lot of cool stuff like that. I mean, I would
especially for you in LA. Oh my God, yeah, you have so many iconic locations. But yeah, like just it was so special to be there, and I was floored that we were allowed. Because he said at first, like, you can't go upstairs. And I was like, okay, well, at least I'm in like the main store area. And then we were able to all go up together with him. And like pulling on the rope. Oh my God, I was near tears the whole time. I was like, this is horror church. You know what I mean? This is sacred ground.
So about the cameos, since we had to talk about a couple of the two big ones, right? So we already mentioned Sarah Michelle Gellar. She gets a little ghostly dream sequence cameo. Looks great though. She looks good.
She looks good. I couldn't tell if there was like a filter to make her look younger. I don't know. I'm so sorry because people say that the two cameo scenes that we'll talk about are their favorite parts, and I really don't.
And by the way, I want to point this out to you before I mean, we're going to give our opinions on them, but I wish what people wouldn't do, and this is probably never going to end because some people don't have theater etiquette. But I got home at a little after midnight my time, and those scenes were already on X.
I cannot believe it.
And,
I know.
And their entirety. And I think it's just so messed up.
I know. I saw on TikTok the full Carla scene was on it like by Friday night. I'm like, I'm sorry, but that is loser behavior. Yeah. That's loser. It's so self-centered. And like, I don't care if you're excited. So am I. But like, give it a week at least. Like, and then there's this one guy, oh my God, who posted a great clear picture of Sarah Michelle on Monday. And it's like, there are some people that work on weekends, you know, like sometimes if I was busier, I'd be busy all weekend, you know, but I happen to go Thursday, fun employment, you know, but like, I just feel like that's loser behavior. Wait until a solid week, wait until the Friday after, you know, and I don't care if the cast is posting behind the scenes photos and they're allowed to do that, whatever. And not everyone follows them. But I follow you.
And that was some of the excuses that some of these people were using. Well, they're posting.
I'd be pissed.
They're not posting.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted to go at one of the first showings. Like, I knew with this movie that we had to go like Thursday. You know what I mean? Because it was so risky to wait. You know. So and I know people that got spoiled. But
so we get Sarah and we do get Brandy after a bunch of speculation about whether she would be in the movie or not.
Right.
And Brandy's it's the mid-credit scene.
And Jennifer Love sort of gave it away because at the premiere she did say, stick around, watch the credits. And so my mind, like I think many of us was like, oh, I bet that's when Brandy comes in because Brandy and Jennifer Love Hewitt even says this on her friend's podcast. She even kind of confirms Brandy got herself in the movie because Brandy publicly said a few months ago, they never called me. Like, I don't know what's going on. I would love to come back, but no one reached out to me. And then they all felt guilty and were like, oh shit, why don't you come do this? And I'm sorry, but Brandy's scene and Sarah's scene, both scenes feel so tacked on for me. They
feel tacked on and like not necessary. And
like, it's great to see them. Don't get me wrong. I'm so happy to see them. But first of all, let's go in order. Sarah's cameo, cool. But like, would she be in Danica's dream sequence? Apparently when they reshot the ending, they added the graveyard moment of Danica picking up
Oh, and being like,
Helen's
I was a
and
crooked
like
queen, like kind of like
yes,
that kind of
and
thing.
so
Yeah,
that being kind of in the forefront of her mind. Apparently,
yeah, yeah.
Jennifer Hewitt. Apparently, Julie was supposed to be in the graveyard scene. I thought that was very
Oh,
interesting. She says that in the podcast. She says, "I was originally supposed to have a moment and a fight in a graveyard, but she probably rightfully so said, why would I ever step in a Southport graveyard? Julie would never.
yeah.
She'd be like, nope, I'm not
So
going
like,
anywhere near
this makes me
that. You know,
remember all those rumors when she was filming that like there. I don't know if you remember like
like
they were saying
rewrites
that
and stuff.
they were saying that Jennifer had like
A
they
little bit of
I
diva
didn't want, yeah, like
involvement.
difficult,
Yeah.
like yeah. And then like this makes it seem like maybe she was
I
being
kind of
difficult,
think that was
but
true.
she like and maybe because she knows the character, she's like I like
Yes.
Julie wouldn't do that, and like so
Yep.
yeah, it
Yep.
seems like that's what that is.
I feel like the same thing. And to a similar extent, I feel like I've heard somewhere that Courtney Cox was a little, especially with Scream 5, was a little kind of like that, like hands-on, really wanted to talk
I
to
know
the
she
directors
didn't
and
want them
writers
to kill Dewey. I
with
think she
Dewey.
tried to get them to like film a misdirect.
But I don't
with
think any
Dewey.
of that is bad. These women
No.
have played these roles for years and are famous for these roles. So yeah, I mean, let them have a say in how it goes. I mean,
Yeah.
right? If they think it sounds weird or it feels weird, it's something to think about. I am, side note, I am glad that, I mean, it's sad that Dewey died, but he got a great death and someone had to go because it was
And
just
it had
getting
to be
really
of the
ridiculous.
original 3. It had to be
Yes.
the one.
So
Yeah.
sorry, so
Yeah.
that's why like
So,
I'm okay with like Ray dying if he is officially dead. I assume he is because
Yeah.
what are the odds that like him, Carla, Julie, like we can't have them continue,
yeah.
like and Jennifer has stated publicly, which I kind of wish she didn't. She has stated publicly, and I feel like Nev has too, that she cannot die. It's like in her contract. Julie
Yeah,
Green-
I need them to stop saying something like that.
I
mean,
know,
I get
even if
it.
it's
Like,
true.
because we don't want them to die, and we understand that. But
No,
I need to
but
feel like some tension of
I
like
need to
maybe
be
they might.
nervous, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to be nervous for you, like I was in Scream 4 with Sid on the roof and the killer. I really
Yeah.
thought like, oh shit, is she gonna die? Now
What I found out, what I thought was
never
interesting,
will.
speaking of like contracts and stuff like that, Brandy was doing a separate interview promoting the whole like 'cause she's going on tour with Monica. They're doing
Yes,
this whole, like
amazing.
tour, right? They
Mhm.
were talking about I still know, and I did not know until Brandy said to Monica that it was in her
Yes.
contract in that movie to not get killed.
I
And
saw the
I was
same
like,
thing, Deus. Yeah.
and part of that had to do with the fact that she was Brandy, and another part being like, well, we
Mhm.
always die in these movies, and let's
Yes.
not.
Well, because
let's not do
especially
that.
when you think about it, in '98, the year after
She was
Scream
pretty
2,
big. I mean, like
she was very big, and Scream 2 had all these
Yeah.
black people in it, which is great. All this,
who all died.
and they all
except for
died.
Dwayne Martin.
Oh well, Dwayne,
Yeah,
Dwayne
Dwayne Martin got
didn't,
to it.
and I would love for Dwayne to come back. Please, God, Dwayne. What's
Find
his-
a way to bring it back.
Joel should be working with
Joel.
Gail on the show. Come on,
Yeah.
that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. That's what he would be doing anyway. But most of them, Dwayne was out of all four the kind of the least prominent, person of color in
Yeah.
Scream 2. But yeah, so it makes perfect sense for Brandy being who she was, and after the success of Scream 2, like, okay, in my contract, I'm staying alive. I love that because also Brandy was
Yeah.
still only like 20 at that time. So
Yeah,
you go,
she was
girl.
not like
I did not
making
know
boss
that
moves
either.
like that. I thought
Yes.
that was really cool. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, I agree with you though. I wish they would stop mentioning that. So like the whole time you're
I
like, oh,
know.
Sydney's safe, Julie's safe, and
Right.
I get why they say it in these interviews because it's like it's a
It's-
fun thing, right?
It's part of the
They-
marketing.
you know,
It's part
their
it's to get the OG
these
fans to
characters are-
continue
yeah,
rooting
and these
for
characters
them.
are iconic for like to fans and all that stuff. So I get
Right.
it, but
Yeah.
it kind of kills the tension knowing that like nothing's gonna happen to them.
Right.
So yeah, there's always that. And then with the cameo scenes, I agree they felt tacked on, and the writing of it felt it felt very
Oh.
last minute. Like, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and honestly, I don't know if it was last minute. I don't know when Sarah.
It seems like it was.
Probably-
It seems like
I guess. I mean, like Sarah was in Australia for a bit. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know if it was like an LA shoot thing because I know they did come back to LA and film
maybe,
some stuff.
but
I'm guessing most of Jennifer's stuff we mentioned was probably LA. I don't
well, because
know
the
if she-
actor that plays Madeline's second fiance, I forget his name, the guy that gets like harpooned. He's an
Harpooned,
Australian
yeah.
actor. I didn't see him before,
Oh,
but I
okay.
know he's in like some superhero stuff. But I had a feeling he was
Yeah.
an Australian local, and so he's lying there on the floor of the Croker Theater with
yeah.
Helen standing over him. So I
Yeah.
bet it was all shot in
Well,
Australia.
That-
They're not going to
and
fly
that
him in
little-
just to lie down.
and that yeah to lie down. So like in that little week,
Mm-mm.
because I think she was there like a week.
She
or
was there, yeah, like a
two.
week or so. So I think
Two,
I
and then-
wouldn't be surprised if she landed and they say, "Listen, what if you were in the movie in a dream sequence?" And a couple days later they shot it because that's how it felt.
And-
And I'm not alone, and you probably think the same thing, but many people have said, like, not only is it so distracting that Helen is in it and she's talking and like what, but she's so bitchy and mean. And
she's
someone
mean.
said she's more Catherine in Cruel Intentions, or maybe even Buffy than Helen. Like many fans are like, wouldn't Helen be sort of like panicky, maybe like don't do what I did, like maybe it's like Helen from the grave and this sort of hallucination dream giving her advice.
Helen throughout that first movie was never a bitch. Like the closest thing that she has to it is in the opening where it's in the beauty like pageant, right? She's doing the whole like kind of cutesy like beauty queen thing in the beginning, and
she gets a little snippy with the friends
with her sister.
With her sister, but Elsa's a bitch. Elsa's awful. So we all would be awful to Elsa. Are you kidding? Elsa's the worst. But even like with the body in the opening, like she says, "Jesus Christ, I'll do it." Like so, she does snap here and there. And we can't forget the amazing lines I've given to an actor in an acting class. What she says to the cop, like, "You Mayberry reject." Like, so she's got fire. We know she has fire, right? But why does she have fire to Danica? Why is she holding the hook? If anything, guys, we have seen so many great horror movie dream sequences. Hello, Wes Craven has done many of them. Wes Craven, look at Nightmare, look at even Scream 3, look at Cursed. I mean, like, filmmakers have done great dream sequences. This dream sequence is not good.
And
it's
it
not
felt
scary.
so really supernatural, out of place.
That to me was so scary movie. It was so scary movie. That was Sarah Michelle making a cameo in Scary Movie 6. That was not I Know. If anything, it would have been great for her to turn around and she's covered in slashes and they're bleeding, and it could have been really scary.
Yeah, they could have made it scary and serious. Yeah, and I get it. Her and Jennifer Kayne Robinson are best friends. There's been all over the internet how close they are.
Yes, they're besties.
I mean, like,
and Sarah was into Revenge.
And so they had this cool thing where they went to the theater, like the PAX. I know you do that summer screenings and like surprise the audience together. Thought that was fun, and I'm glad. And and there was a nice little misdirect with like Sarah being like, "How can I be that I'm dead?" And then even Jennifer saying like, "I tried to think of several ways to bring the character back, and it just didn't work." So there was a lot of misdirects in like the media about like Sarah not being in it at all. So. At first glance, like once we saw her, I was like, "That's cool." But once she started talking, I was like, "No." I was like, sometimes we just should not get what we might want. And this was like one of those situations where I just was like, and I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like
I love her.
Worship at the altar of all things.
Can I say something dramatic?
Yeah.
Can I say something that like I might regret saying this, but and I just saw she just posted today as of this recording.
The Buffy thing.
Seeing her do this and like approving that, I am now kind of worried about the Buffy reboot. And I know that's dramatic, and I'm sure it'll be great. Chloe Zhao is a different director than Jennifer Kayne Robinson, but guys, I don't know. Like she said, "Yeah, this sounds good. I'll do that." I don't know. I just was the whole time. I'm not lying.
Like, question her decision.
The camera, like those like green like night vision cameras on the audience, like opening night.
Yeah.
I wish there was a camera on me during this scene because I was cringing so hard that I think I like pulled a muscle in my neck. My shoulders were up. I was like, "What is this scene?" It was so silly and sassy, and oh my god, I just thought like
I sank down in my chair because I'm sitting next to my brother who has seen the first movie at least, so he knew who she was and all that, and was just kind of like I can't like
what would have been really cool.
And my peripheral, him like looking at me, I was like,
"Oh god, I love that he hated it." Oh my god, what would have been so cool and so effective, and would have like helped like cut some of the bullshit and like get to the real meat of this story. The dream sequence is the fisherman, not Helen, the fisherman standing over her dead fiance, and she's like, for once and for all, I'm gonna, she meaning Danica. Danica's like, "I'm gonna find out who you are," and she's feeling strong. She goes up, she rips off like the fisherman hat hood, and it could have been really cool if she spins, if like then it's a blonde hair, and we think, "Oh my god, it's Helen," and she then whips around and she's bloody, and maybe she has one line. It could be in Sarah Michelle's voice. It could be like monster voice because she kind of like turns monstery towards the end.
It was also the effects on that were like,
yes, the effects felt like, okay, this is fun for like 1995 Casper or something. You know what I mean? But like then she has the hook and brings it down, and then Danica wakes up.
Danica can wake up. Yeah.
Right? It's very short. And Danica could even tell Ava in her funny way, like, whoa, I just had a very strange, weird, kind of hot, but very scary nightmare. You know? And then, okay, that's it. Right? And then we get Helen back for a moment, but we overstayed our welcome with Helen. And you hit it on the head. Some things fans should not get. I know we all would love to see Helen Shivers back. We should not have seen that. We should not have seen that. We should always, it should have ended with Tyler's great t-shirt. That's it. Right?
Yeah. And kind of, I do want that shirt. I mean, I was probably just made for the
movie,
I'd
love that shirt. I saw a picture of the cast like wearing it, which I think it's sold somewhere now online.
It's over here somewhere. I actually did buy a original I Know You Did Last Summer shirt right before this movie came out because I realized I didn't have anything like that. So honestly, watching this movie honestly watching this, and it's just the image from like the poster art, whatever, from the first movie. But like but at first I am more proud to own that shirt now after seeing this movie because I was like, that movie still holds up. And then this movie is what it is. Also, it makes me wonder if there was any attempts to like reach out to Ryan Phillippe. He probably would have said no, like off the bat. But like for anything like this, because like because they had to get his approval to like
not even a picture.
Pictures.
Was there a picture of him? That's right.
It's that cast photo. It's a photo shoot where they're all in the dock.
Yes. Okay. I'm so glad. I completely forgot about that. It's really it's a promo photo, not at all from the actual movie.
It's not something that they took together at all.
But like this is what I mean, because I forgot all about that. Ava's looking at the photo, and Ray is obviously cut out of the photo. Like what? We need way. And now Ray's dead. It's like, we need to know what the hell was so bad about your relationship for Julie to cut out a picture of Ray. Did he cheat? Did he get abusive? Maybe that would have been interesting if actually started getting violent because he was, I don't know. It's just oh God. So I know I'm talking your ear off and we've already recorded for so long, but I feel like we said enough about Sarah Michelle.
There's a lot to say, and like I mean,
it's just so much to like.
If they would have gotten like Ryan, I think Ryan would have said. No, he just would have improved his image.
And I guess there really is no way to really bring Barry back in some way besides a picture, and like a flashback.
It being like Teddy's dream, but that wouldn't make any sense either.
It wouldn't make any sense. And he gets a shout out because Teddy says that stupid line like, "There's Barry Cox with the big cocks" or whatever.
That was really But
also, I'm sorry again to be a hater, everyone, but like, what are the odds that Barry's gravestone is like so close to Helen's? They most likely would have separate like family plots. Like, I just thought like, well, isn't that so nice? Like, but maybe I could be wrong. But what was I going to say about Barry? I don't think he'd be back. Sarah, that was a strange thing. And then Carla, so nice to see her in the end. But like it was again a lot to like unpack very quickly. And like it just felt like, very MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
If you couldn't utilize her in a significant part of the movie, because I know like she hears they're making it and she's like, well, I would have loved to come back, but they didn't reach out to me, right? So like if you couldn't use her in a way that made sense to the film, I wouldn't have used her at all. And if you are going to use her in this, like, I agree with you. The whole MTV Movie Award, it felt more like a spoof scene than like and great. It was. I'm glad that she fought for herself. Like she was promoting that other horror movie she was in for A24 when they were like interviewing her a lot about like, hey, are you going to be back for this? Would you like to come back? And she was putting that out in the ether. And then that's when Jennifer Caden Robinson was like making it clear that yes, I still know it's canon. It's canon. It's totally canon. She kept mentioning that because after she's hearing these interviews, she's probably like, all right, let's figure out a way to get her in here secretly. A big secret for the fans. And even before the movie came out, they kept asking her about Brandy, and she's like, you'll have to go see it on July 18th. Like she was doing that thing. So I get the whole, once she got her for a little bit, the whole fun and secrecy of it all. But I think because there was so much build up for this fun and secrecy that how it was done was just kind of like, it landed with a thud to me.
Like what are the odds she's watching like Julie on the news and then Julie's at her door? And also I thought, Well, wait. It seems like they don't really keep in touch, right? Is that what you?
Yeah.
Right. Because
I got that.
he says, "Isn't that your old college roommate?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I feel like Brandy even says, like, "But we kind of don't speak," and something like you said.
Yeah.
She's like, "There's always something going on with that girl."
Yeah.
And then she's at the door, so I'm like, "How does Julie know where Carla lives?" Like, I get the impression, unless Carla has not moved in 20 plus years. What?
And by the
like,
way,
it was so easy.
I know I'm overthinking the dialogue, but like, there's always something going on with that girl. Like, they only had like that one big. I mean, like, I don't think there were any events after. I still know that Carla. That Carla would be like,
we don't know.
There were no more like ooh child moments for Carla to be like, girl again. Like, there was none of that. So like, for her to even say that felt weird.
That's something to say if the two of them already were in another sequel. If they did this was like the third time we see them together, then I could understand what she said. There's always something going on. But yeah.
And then her demeanor changed when she saw Julie at the door. It's kind of like,
then she's like, oh. And like Julie's in this hat, which apparently
I guess she's like
I think she was covering her up because now she has like reddish hair. Her hair isn't how it looks when they shot the movie earlier in the year. I don't know what her red hair is for.
Because I think she mentioned the thing with on that podcast that it was done this whole scene was done overnight. It was like
overnight,
quick
like
thing.
just a couple of weeks ago, basically, just like a month ago, you know, to add it in. And like, so then it's like, then again, the movie is throwing so much at us. Like, we need to process. Whoa, okay. Brandy, whoa, okay, they're together, they're hugging. Whoa, okay, Julie got a note. Whoa, she didn't get a note at all in this movie, but now she gets a note. Okay, that seems like something
with Carla's face X'd out, right?
Get time with her like getting a letter. The handwriting is kind of funny and goofy. It's not really like thick and and then there's a photo. Again, another. Well, no, I guess it wasn't a promo photo. It's a photo of the two of them.
Well, it is a promo. I mean,
and no one took a picture of them. Like
them sitting on the cart. So it was like shot by like an on-set photographer, right?
Yeah.
But
so it's like, okay, that's not the characters.
In the movie, it says them waiting for like Ray to show up, right? Like, because he's supposed to like, I hate when they use photos like that in movies.
I know it's so lazy. Come on, like the picture frame of Sarah of Helen at her gravesite is just like a shot from the movie. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But so then Carla's face is crossed out, and I think there's a message that says something.
It isn't over.
It isn't over. She's next, and then like Brandy's just kind of like, okay, whose ass are we about to whoop or something like that?
Yeah.
And then
like,
Julie says,
you say that.
And then it's like, is this like a Thelma and Louise spoof? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like.
I'm good.
And I have to just say one last thing, Gaius, and then for real, I am done.
There you go.
The last two movies have iconic jump scare endings.
Yeah,
we're not gonna continue that tradition. Like, I don't know how we would, but like, what? And apparently, the original ending of this one, I don't know if you know this, the one they shot for test audiences.
I know they test this movie a few times. And I want to know like how like
someone said it to me, my friend John. Do you know what it was going to be?
No, because my friend David, who's actually been on the show before, he was like, I know that they tested this a few times, and he said that like the original like idea, like some of the original ideas he said sounded so interesting. That's why he was so interested in seeing it. And he, it's always interesting. Like the final result is not, it's always written before. But like, I would like to know what was the original ending of it.
Yeah, well, so at least what's going around is the original ending shows Stevie is alive. So basically, anything with after. Let me think. What happens right before Madeline washes ashore? I think.
Oh, well, we have her washing ashore, and then we have them at the hospital together.
The hospital, yeah. Like, so all that was new. All of that was reshot,
which was all dumb.
Madeline was apparently, I know, and also it's like not interesting. It's like, wait, what? Why are you holding us in the seats like for this?
Yeah.
Danica, we assume is dead. We do not know. We don't get them just throwing out the line. Oh, Stevie's alive. So I guess it's like a year later. It says we see Stevie. So it's like, whoa, what? Kind of, again, going back to Brenda, Rebecca Gayheart, Urban Legend, we thought she's dead. And then now she's like talking to new students, right? So we see her in a nice house, of course. I don't know how she has a nice house. She was like the blue collar one, but okay. She's like in a bathing suit. She's living life. It's like everyone's processing, whoa, the killer's still alive. And then she gets a note, I think, saying it isn't over. And the fisherman is behind her, much like how They always are in this movie.
Yeah.
And like brings the hook down on her. So
Yeah.
to show that, okay, actually there's another killer who has beef with her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know? So I kind of
He's
like
like,
that. And we
"What?"
would have gotten, I guess, maybe sort of a jump scare-ish. You know, it's just so weird because those jump scares, I mean, the shower at the first one and then, pulling her under the bed.
Under the bed.
I mean, they're so good.
Now,
you know?
and I know that some people feel some kind of way about those endings like that because I know in the first I Know You Do Summer, it didn't end that way. That was added because the audience was like, "Oh, it's ended on much lighter." The email, right? So and I know people complain about that because they're like, "Oh, what the fuck is he a bag? He's alive?" Like, no, it's like don't take it so literal. Like it's just a fun little thing to have at the end, like to kind of end the movie that way. And then to me, the ending of I Still Know, I always felt that was a dream sequence, but another good callback to the shock jump ending from the first one. Like
the second one, I mean,
people,
both
I think
people
take it too seriously as like it's supposed to be like a real moment that ruins like the stuff that comes before, but like it doesn't. Right. It is what it is. It's fine.
No, yeah, I think it's fine. And for a while, I thought the end of I Still Know maybe was real. I don't know.
Could it be real?
Now we know. Obviously, it was not real. And also, real quick, I know we talked a little bit about this on Instagram because I posted. Isn't it so weird? Kevin Williamson created Ben Willis, so it is he is not a character in Lois Duncan's book.
Yeah.
Why did Kevin Williamson not get any writing or producing, just a name only credit? And I Still Know that is very weird because Ben Willis is all over that movie. And then like there was no killer fisherman. That is something Kevin created. So it is so weird to me that he did not get credit in this movie and that Ben Willis is not mentioned once. They barely mentioned that like, a fisherman killed people in 1997. They barely even mentioned that. Like, you would think that so many of these new characters would be like, why a fisherman's outfit? And then you would think, is it Ray? They would think like, wait, Ray's a fisherman, like, and it's like, no, the original killer was a fisherman. Like, there's just no real like discussion of Ben Willis in this movie, which I just feel like is so tacky. And I wonder, did they just not want to pay Kevin Williamson? Did they not want to give him credit? It just feels like that. Like, no, work around that. Just don't bring that up so that we don't have to like loop Kevin into this. And maybe also that was a Paramount thing because Kevin's got to deal with Paramount and Scream, and maybe they weren't allowed. I don't know, but something's up with that. Something legal. Yeah, right?
It is really weird because like you're right. Like there is certain things that are very much Lewis Duncan's book, but then like the Fishman idea and then Ben Willis, like all of that is kind of like his creation that he kind of put into his script for I Know You Do Summer. One day he tried to sell before Scream. I mean, like
exactly.
Everyone, I mean, that. So
it's just so weird to not have
one of his first babies. Like that.
Absolutely.
He's not even credited in it. Yeah. It is strange.
It was a little weird. You know. Also, just another minor thing that I'm just like, what is this movie and who are the people that made it? Like, what? So.
And it just makes me question how much of a fan that she is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because she's been toting how much of a fan she is of this franchise. And like everyone that's done like interviews, like the legacy, like Freddie Prinze Jr. Triple P have commented on how much of a fan she is of it. And to me, this didn't feel like it was written or directed by someone who like really knew like. Yeah, of course there are callbacks and there's nice little Easter eggs. If you're like, I mean, from like the Teddy shower scene being reminiscent of like a combination of like I didn't feel like it was made with the love it should have been made with. I mean, that sounds cheesy for like what this movie is.
It's hard because like I appreciate the callbacks and the visual things they did. Like you said, like the shower, the Billy Blue, like there are great little things in there that I absolutely appreciate. So I can't completely hate it. But then there are things that matter more, like actual story and the actual suspense. The first movie is so suspenseful and there's such a sadness to it, and I'm just like, what is this? And I don't need to see a exact shot for shot remake. No way. But I would like to see something in the same DNA of the first film. If this is calling back to the first film, let's, you know what I mean? So, they can't do callbacks to every single thing, but some of these things really didn't matter to be called back to. Yeah. And like with the Croaker Queen pageant, the Croaker Queen float that like Danica, gets her head knocked off.
Yeah.
I love seeing the float. wouldn't it have been more fun for like Teddy and his dad, the dead bodies, instead of hanging there, do a 4th of July parade again? Having just been to Southport, I can confirm Southport really is the July 4th Mecca. I had heard that. The parade was going on. It was not just like a half-hour thing. I got to the parade early, and I got to the parade late and left early. It was going on for 4 hours. It was never ending. The Southport 4th of July parade in real life is like the new North Carolina, like July 4th capital, you know? And I just felt like, why not bring back the parade and have the bodies lying on the Croker pageant float? Do you know what I mean? That would have been so cool. And seeing all these people scream and run, you know, like, so I just feel like there are things that like, okay, you did it, but are you sure that's what you wanted to kind of end it with? You know?
What are the choices for them shooting it in Australia as opposed to?
Well, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Shot the original movie.
I meant to bring this up earlier. So, and I'm blanking on his name. I feel so bad. But the guy who runs On-Set Cinema, where I did this screening in Burgaw, North Carolina, where the Shivers department store is, he had said, because an actress was there doing a Q&A, Julie's original college roommate, I think her name is Deb. She was there. She still lives in the Wilmington area. Yes, who I was like the original Carla, but whatever. She was there to kind of do a fun little Q&A. She was so nice. But he had told us, I don't know if it's true. He seems to know a lot. Apparently, they were going to shoot it in Wilmington and Southport, North Carolina. But I guess at the last minute, in the weeks leading up to it, something happened. And they quickly had to pivot to Australia, maybe for something. They were waiting on a tax break, and they went with their backup. So, I mean, Australia's beautiful. It looks great. And I could see some things feeling like Southport, but a lot of it, I mean, these houses with
probably really fun for the cast too to go there. I mean, that's totally, I guess, like, I guess fun for them, but like,
but also how funny, because going back with like how Scream and I Know are always hand in hand. Scream 5 filmed in Wilmington, so it could have been fun for this film where they filmed, you know, and where other horror and these Halloween reboots filmed there. So it is a bummer, because you can feel like, having walked around Southport, it is so stinking cute, but these houses are not modern like in Australia with these like edgy, rich sliding glass doors. I mean,
you walk in front of it, like it's like the whole beep beep slide. I was like, what? Okay, cool.
You know, but I guess it tags onto how Southport now is a vacation destination, I guess, and they want to you know, get rid of the old Southport, the old memories. So it works. It's just like these streets do not feel like the Southport we met in '97. You know.
Before we scored, I do want to ask you something that I see a lot of the critics mention. I want to see if you agree with it when they're talking about this movie. Is that maybe that Sony, whoever was behind, you know, the studio, director, all this stuff, did they overestimate like how popular this franchise was to bring it back, or is it just that this execution of it wasn't what it should have been? If we would have had a better execution of it, would we be still? Maybe we would have had an opening weekend that was like not as high as like a 30 million for Scream 5, but like I think a 20 to 25 million for this would have been great on the nose. For this,
maybe also because back in the late 90s, I mean, even making in the 20s seems low for this franchise. So I mean, you know, but yeah, to answer your question, I mean, you're talking to, like I said, like, and shout out everyone, watch my fan film, Your Last Summer. It's very queer, but much like this movie, but I think it's better. I think there's more seriousness to it, and it's creepy, and you know,
there was a lot of queer coded stuff in this movie. Like I was
totally. But listen, as a queer person,
actually, I think it's fine because like, but I was like, my friend pointed out the scene where Teddy and like Milo are exchanging the joint. There, my friend was like, that was borderline sexual, and there was like a lot of stuff that was like very like. It was in there.
It's because so many queer people have loved the first movie because everyone is so sexy and it's so iconic that like this especially and Scream as well, but I Know more is more queer, maybe because also the sequel was campy and everyone's just so hot like that. It's just like, you know, but so you're talking to someone who loves this franchise, who like, I wrote my own chapter. So I don't think this franchise is not popular enough to find success. I think, kind of like going back to what I was saying, I think like people are getting quickly burned out of like, oh, we have new fresh faces and they need the old originals to help them. Like, I don't think that's working anymore. and everyone was just so pretty and so Instagram ready that I think that was a big turnoff. I think if anything, the story, much like Scream 7, is going to be, the story should have focused more on even just Julie, or Ray, but probably Julie is more important, and have some new faces. Maybe it's her students. I don't know, but like have the OG be more front and center, and don't have it be so glossy. It's tough because like back in the day, these movies were pretty, but they had depth, like literally physical depth to them. And now everything is so glossy and shiny and kind of flat. It's so pretty. It's like flat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's mileage there, but a different
because there seems to be like a
was the way to go
for it. There seemed to be a hunger for it. I mean, everyone was excited that Freddie Prinze Jr. was coming back. He was coming back. Like the noise that I was seeing and hearing, even like from like the traffic that these stories were getting on like the website and all that stuff, like it seemed like there was.
And I know this is like gimmicky and like kind of maybe trashy of me to say, but like of all people to have his shirt off, it probably should have been Freddie. That would have gotten more people like, ooh, he's still, because he still has it. He looks great. And like, yeah, I mean, if you want to sell some sex, I mean, have Freddie, like, I don't know, catching a fish shirtless or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there are just other things, think of a big draw for I Still Know is Jennifer in the tanning bed in her bikini, which she has a funny story about that in the podcast interview. And, she probably wouldn't do that now. She's not in the same size, still gorgeous, but not in the same shape. But like, I don't know. I think people are now officially, I think it's risky for any other franchise to do a reboot like this where new faces are the lead. Halloween 2018 is a little different where there were new faces, but it was still
centered on Laurie.
Yeah, it was still centric, even though she's not in the movie a ton. They were all around her basically, whereas, so
that is true because in Halloween 2018, she's in it a bit. Halloween Kills, she's mostly in the hospital.
Barely,
and like it's the new people there. It's the new people that are like focused, right? And even in Halloween Ends, like the whole focus is on the new transition to that kid,
right? But she's in it. But she's in Ends a lot. I feel like, or at least
probably a lot more, a lot more than Kills, but like maybe by like
maybe the same.
Much, but,
But
like you're right. The singular focus always, like even though it orbits around her. So like I agree with you, and I wonder because we're getting another urban legend, and then they're doing another faculty. Like I wonder if the course correction is like.
God. I don't know.
Well, I wonder if the course correction is like I wonder if they're like, yo, let's not legacy legal this. Let's just reboot it. Because like now, same thing with the faculty. Is it just like, oh, do we legacy sequel or do we reboot it? And like I know that like this is the only like harsh example of a legacy sequel that has like not done particularly well. Yeah. But like sometimes you only need one example to show like maybe this isn't going the way it should.
The faculty can work if it's an actual sequel, which I think most of us would like a sequel. It could work in two ways, where the cast that we know and love are front and center, and they are parents and colleagues, and aliens are back. And like it could almost kind of be like It Chapter 2, which I never finished because it was kind of a mess. But like, getting the gang back together to like think of how to combat the aliens, or it could still work with a new fresh face cast of students, and at least one or two of the originals are teachers, principal, Elijah Wood could be the principal, like it could still work because they all are already organically together. There's no let's seek out this guy or let's seek out this girl. It's we have to talk to principal, I forgot Casey's last name, and the faculty, but you know what I mean? Like, so that could still work. Urban Legends riskier. That could just be an all-out reboot, kind of like.
I think that is the safest way you could do that, where it's just like you have
another. But it would be nice to still have Brenda be back as a killer.
And I know they didn't have a plot, but I know they were like talking about like using urban legends and like the the digital age and all that, how that works with like the internet,
which
and all
that could be really interesting. And I think that could be very interesting.
I think urban legend works better as like you just completely reboot it. I mean, if you want to get like a cool, fun, like Rebecca Gayheart, she's down. I mean, she's down.
She's getting excited. She like paired up with that creepy janitor actor who I love. Like, you know what would be a great, in my opinion, what would be a great sequel? It's not so much a reboot. It's a true sequel of Urban Legend for like us. I don't know if younger people would be into it, so who knows? But like Brenda Bates is the lead, and following someone who is a psycho killer,
Right.
what is life like for her now? And she has a daughter going to college, and there's a new killer going after like her family. Like that to me is more interesting. Like we know what you can do. What happens when like a killer fan knows your secret and targets you and your like let's get a little more like interesting if we're gonna reboot it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I thought what was interesting, like one of my friends said, and I thought really it's actually maybe true. He was like, I can see why you and like your some of your friends who kind of like grew up with these movies, like how like these like new sequels can excite you guys, but it has to be hard for a studio, whoever who's like greenlighting this, to be like, you can't just appeal to us, because you have to appeal to a new generation that is going to get it. And he was saying that these kind of slasher movies aren't as prevalent as they used to be, right? And then when we do get them, there has to be kind of like a spin on how they're done. Like Hard Eyes didn't make a ton of money, but it got good reviews because it was a fun like slasher movie mixed with a rom-com, and I was like, didn't even know I needed that till I saw it. So like but these kind of standard throwbacky old school slasher movies that work really well for us, but like this newer generation didn't really grow up with that, so they're not really, this is like the end of the whole like meta jokey thing isn't really working either. Now I kind of countered that with like, well, why did like Scream come back and work both critically and financially? And he was just like, but it didn't lean too heavily into like it being like almost self-parody. Like there were jokes, and there's a lot of callbacks to like there's a lot of genre callbacks, but like
there's always
they managed to walk a line. They managed to walk a line of keeping it relatively serious enough that it didn't turn into a joke.
Oh, I would never. So, this was way funnier than either Scream 5 or 6, and humor has always been part of Scream's DNA. It's gotta have that self-referential, wink wink humor. But this was way over the top. The Scream movies are always at their core serious. Usually the motives when they hit hard, it's because they're serious, and like there is some real stakes. This movie didn't really have much in terms of like high stakes because we kind of don't care about the newbies, and it just all kind of like flounders, I don't know. I just think it's interesting, this kind of like trend of like, I'm trying to think of, like Alien Romulus didn't do it, but that's more sci-fi Alien. But like, they even Alien Romulus, I mean, spoiler for Alien Romulus, fast forward, they bring in a familiar face from the first movie to sort of guide them, which I liked it. I thought that was very cool.
I thought it was cool. And there were fun callbacks to the movies. Like, I mean, I know some people didn't like the whole droid guy saying the whole "stay away from her, you bitch" line.
I thought that was fun
because they were like, how were you? People think about that stuff too much. Like, no, it's just fun.
If anything, it just sort of fell flat. It would have been interesting if he maybe had a little bit more fire with that. So it's just funny how we're in the trend of like, we want more sequels and we want to see the familiar faces, but like they can't just be supporting. So Scream 7 is going to be very interesting, and I think I know people, if there's going to be a sequel, I'm sure they're going to have some ideas, but they're not going to get rolling until after Scream 7 comes out to see how they do it. With now putting
also
Sid back front and center.
Paramount, Spyglass, because I know you guys, these are the people involved in Scream 7. Promote the shit out of Scream 7 in the right way, because I feel like you should look at this, whatever the outcome of this was, critically and financially, and be like, let's not totally misdirect the audience. Let them know exactly what they're getting. Like, make sure that we all know this, and we've seen like people like talking about what the movie's going to be about, but make sure that the audience, the fans, know that this is a Sidney Prescott centric story. She is not just like a throwaway cameo. I think that all that should be like front and center in the marketing, so that one older fans don't feel like they're deceived, and like I think that's important. But then I think there's ways to market Scream 7 in a way that's like, okay, it's going to be good for us, and it's going to be great for people who actually didn't come on board until Scream and Scream 6, and then newer people who are like, all right, this seems like a fun horror movie. I think there's ways to like make all three fan bases like happy.
And it's hard because I feel like we're at a time with horror slasher sequels, especially where it's like, oh, well, we need to cater to the older people, but also the younger people. But I don't know if a lot of younger people actually really care about this stuff.
Care that much.
I think most of the people that care are older, and maybe a few people like us when we were kids that watched Halloween, that liked, older movies. Sure, but I don't think you can sort of write for all these generations. You kind of need to write for, if it's a sequel to something from the 90s, then write for that audience at this age now. That's why I'm also kind of excited for Scream 7, because even though, I know they're kind of teens, it's going to be her daughter, but like, I want to see more 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds. Like, let's have an adult slasher continuation. I want to see the story continue with people my age or older, or the character's age. You know what I mean? So
what do you think it got people to care about Scream 5? Like the build up to that and like it coming out? Because was that all nostalgia? Because I don't think it could have completely ridden on nostalgia. Like,
well, let's think about it. I think a lot of it was nostalgia. Halloween 2018 was very successful. This Scream came out right after Kills, I believe. So, and Kills was pretty hated universally by like
successful,
you know what I mean? So like, we were excited about Halloween 2018. We needed something better than Kills, so I'm just thinking of what it was like, at that time, what else was out. It had been a long time since Scream 4, which luckily got better with age. With I Know, there hadn't been anything since I Still Know, and then I'll Always Know, which no one cares about, and then that TV show, which no one cared about. So I almost think maybe it was too soon to do a movie sequel, maybe after the bad TV show. And then also
release dates also matter too. I think. I mean, I see the appeal of dropping this in summer.
Yeah,
but I also see smarter move. I also see the smarter move of like Scream 5 came out in January, very little competition. I mean, we're seeing that with like Megan and Megan 2.0. Like,
that was also
like that. And then also dropping Scream 6 in March, also a good time. Not as a competition
when it was colder.
So I think release dates do matter. Like for horror movies, like the early part of the year is great. Depending on the type of horror film, summer can work. Conjuring has come out during the summer and done really well. It depends on like what the horror movie is. If you can't do it then of course October or fall is your best bet. But like I think release dates matter too as well. I think timing was right for Scream. I also think like part of the younger cast was kind of like, you had Jack Quaid. People were like, oh, that's the guy from The Boys. Like there are little tiny recognizable faces where you're like, oh, okay. Like I guess
there were some familiar faces, some new people. None of them were that polished, this is a very polished thing. And I just don't know if people like that because, right. We see a lot of that in the algorithm.
Even the Scream 6 cast wasn't polished. Like, I mean, they had the returning people come back, and then some of the newer people they brought in weren't like.
If anything, Scream 6 cast should have been probably less polished since it was supposed to be New York, But they still were not so glam. There was an edge. There was some funkiness, which Scream, going back to the first one, it's always funky. Whereas I Know, going back to the first one, it's not always funky at all. But it's not always glam. It's pretty. It's sexy, but it's not like rich and glam and well dressed. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that was all over this. Like, I just think of Ava's socks. Ava always had these like little girl white socks. I don't know if you noticed that. Maybe that's just my gay brain. But I'm just like, why are you wearing these cute little like schoolgirl socks? Like, what? Be an adult. Like fucking Julie James was running around in like just sneakers, like tennis shoes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There were just little decisions that I could see. I think a lot of men, maybe especially straight men, that maybe aren't that weren't necessarily big fans like you of this. Yeah. That were just like, that's so like girly, so gay, so colorful, so silly. Yeah. I almost feel like we kind of need the Dark Knight and Batman Begins of like superhero movies with horror sequels. I think everything has sort of become so funny.
Start to make them. We got to take them seriously a bit more.
Slasher. Like think of all recent like slashers, especially. It's all like Scream dialogue times 100, where it's like, well, guess who? We'll see who dies tonight. Am I right? It's just like, oh my god.
Like Hard Eyes, which I did like. That too.
Hard Eyes had that, but Hard Eyes was a rom-com.
Yeah, but at least it leaned into like this is what we are. Like, it actually did present itself as
Hard Eyes is so good because it's so wink. Whereas this, anyone who knows this movie or the original is going to be like, wait, why is there so much like wink wink? That was not in the original movie. You know? So
there wasn't even a lot of wink wink, and I still know it just can't be. But there was
right, exactly. We have to remember that. I still know it's just dumb fun, you know, but it's still very serious. Are you kidding? It is still, you know, even Mekhi Phifer, what was his name? Tyson? You know, as he's giving his
Tyrell or something like that.
Tyrell. When he's giving his fun monologue that then he shockingly gets killed, you know, it's funny. We're laughing with him, but he's serious. It's not this like right, bitch, you know, like it's all still very serious. Even
that's
Nancy and I still know the bartender who I love, Jennifer Esposito. She even says, everyone's a goddamn singer when it's funny, and then she's extremely serious when she's running for her life. This movie, it's like you're running for your life, and then you're like, I need a cuddle. I've had a rough night. It's like, fuck off, you know, like I don't know. So it was entertaining. I'm glad I didn't look at my phone like I do with some movies now where it's like, oh God, you know? So I was entertaining. I just was cringing to the point where I had a headache walking out. I kind of sat in my car for a few minutes, like just sort of wondering what I saw. And also it's very risky, everyone. Very few movies can pull off a big finale in the daytime. I'm like, we're really in the daytime?
Yeah.
Red Eye did it because Red Eye happens overnight, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm so glad you mentioned that because
why are we on the yacht like in the morning and like Ray's bar isn't even open? So like,
it's very rare that even scenes midway through a movie can make like those tension-filled scenes work during the day. I hate to do the Scream thing again, but like the whole scene with Dylan Minette's character and his mom, that all plays out during the day, and that's well done. That's a well done scene.
Yes. And going back to Randy getting killed in the middle of the day outside.
It's Scream 2. It's Scream 2.
It could be done well, but for the
this was like
finale,
I'm glad you said that because like. Nelly, and not daylight too, just broad daylight. It's like you get the sun is like illuminating in the fact.
I'm just like that was all I could think of was I was like, Ray, when does your bar open? Like, is it open at night?
Yeah,
like
too. Yeah, they open from like 5
are
to 6.
Are you not open 7 days a week? Yeah, like maybe it's today you're off
from like
day.
happy hour to close. Like
right?
How's it work?
I'm just like, you know. So that was all. That just didn't help. It just made me think, what was Jennifer Love Hewitt like? Okay, you have me for a few days and I'm not working past 6. I got to make dinner for my kids. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, you know?
Well, I can't imagine what we're going to score this right now.
That said, you know, a lot of hate and there's so much stuff to love, you know, but oh God, what do you, am I going first? Do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
No, I'll take the heat off of you. I've been teetering because it started higher ish. And then the more I thought of it, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to go too low because there was stuff I like thought was entertaining and it is like some fun slasher movie stuff in it. And some of the dialogue is funny. But the problem is that the whole movie is coded in this kind of like snark. And I don't think that was the best choice. Fuck. I want to give it like because I can't go. I'm not because 2.5 sounds too high.
Oh wow! Okay, 2.5 out of 5 or out of 10?
5, out of 5.
But
like, but I might have to straight up to it. Maybe 2.1, 2.2 my new mood. But like,
I think that is absolutely
and that's decreased throughout the entire weekend leading up to doing it. I feel like that is fair, and that's not what I wanted for it.
Yeah, my brain, I always go to, because I'm on the IMDb app and website my whole life. I feel like that is my app. So my go-to is always to rate it out of 10 because that's what IMDb does. So out of 10, 5 is, sorry, I'm burping. Sorry. 5 is way too kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
5, I'm like, ooh, no. 3 is a little harsh. So, oh God, but 4, I mean, I kind of feel like 4 out of 10 feels right because there are some things that are, you know, good and interesting and, you know, so, and I appreciate some of this stuff. So don't get me wrong. And I probably have said this to you guys. I've said it to a lot of people. It is so hard making a bad movie. So imagine how hard it is making a good movie. Do you know what I mean? So I completely understand that. I get it firsthand, you know, but yeah. So 4 out of 10 and then out of 5. Yeah, I'm sorry. 2.5 out of
Oh yeah,
5
okay,
is the same as 5 out of 10. That's too high. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go with you.
Two.
1 is too harsh. So I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
solid 2, not a 2.1, not a 2.2. As of right now, I'm sure when I rewatch it eventually, the things I hate will mellow out. The things I like will grow. I feel like usually I like things better like this on the second rewatch. Maybe it'll be higher, but as of right now, 2 out of 5. No higher than that.
And honestly, I can see aspects of it making it a cult film down the line. I can see
I'm
the whole
so
like,
glad you said that.
I can see the whole like, you know, like Divas Up thing, the whole
This-
like girl power
this-
thing being a
yes.
big part of it. Like that, there's a lot of in the movie that like that I think that will eventually people will be like they just didn't understand it when it first, like, you know.
Yep.
I see that happen. I see that happening with Halloween Ends even, and I knew that was going to be the case. Like after that came out, I was like, you know, because Halloween Ends is like the Season of the Witch of like
Talk
the
about
first three.
some bold decisions.
Bold swings, bold choices. And actually, I can respect those bold choices much more than the ones here, because at least like,
yes.
But
at least we
becoming
spent some like careful time with him, and it took its time, right? Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, like even with that character, I would have like if they would have introduced him like in Kills, that would have been even better. Like if we would have gotten to know him before End. But even in that one movie, I thought we got enough with him to like can see where that transition comes from. And it made sense to me. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's a very like interesting movie. Yeah, I think it's an interesting movie more. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
For a while, it had
anything.
me. Oh, for a while, I was like, what is going on? But okay. But if anything, the biggest offense was the ending killing them both, killing Michael and oh god, what was his name? Rowan's his name in real life.
Rowan Campbell.
Corey,
in real life. Yeah, Corey.
Yeah, Corey Cunningham. Killing both of them because, in my opinion, kill Michael. And what's really bold and interesting, now you have
Corey carry on the legacy,
wearing the Michael mask, so we still will always have Michael. But but it's right, like that to me is like, okay, now we can have a whole new trilogy. You know what I mean? But to kill them both, I'm like, okay. I mean, we know we're gonna get more of this. It's inevitable. You know. So
I can see a world where it is. I can already see a little bit of it online because there are so many people that love this. I know that I see it on X. Like they're passionately like
people are passionate. But I agree with you. This is already a sort of the cult classic sequel, and that's why I said we thought I still know was the cult classic. Sequel.
Now it's gonna look like fucking Citizen Kane compared to this.
This one, if we do get a sequel or sequels, which who knows now, but if we did, I was thinking this is going to be with the one where it's like, oh, this is the Season of the Witch. This is like the, oh god, yeah. If you count that one, like that's sort of like a bad dream or a weird campy comedy dream.
Like forget it happened,
right? You know, more so than I Still Know. So, yeah. But here's the thing: a lot of hate. I would love to see a sequel, like we said, with the 4 final girls. That sounds really interesting, but it also sounds really risky. It sounds so goofy. Like it sounds like, is it just going to be Charlie's Angels?
I need it in the hands of a better writer and director, and I don't want to take that away. Because I actually I did like Do Revenge. I think like she is a good.
She's a good writer. Young adult comedic, sassy, bitchy, dark comedy. You know, like I would love to see her. I would love to see her just kind of like do a different movie where friends cover up a secret, and it's a comedy, and they're just trying to keep the secret. Like that would have been amazing. But
like she seems like she would have been good for like a bodies or something like that.
Oh,
like this one,
she's right there.
Like because my other issue, like I mentioned before, is like, I don't think she could direct some of these scenes. Well, I mean, there was nothing about her eye that you saw her being able to generate significant tension or atmosphere that like the movie doesn't really have a real atmosphere. But even like anyone listening to this, like watch the first one and even watch I Still Know. There is still a visual eye in those movies that feel distinct.
This one made me respect those previous directors even more, especially the first one. But even the second one, Danny Cannon.
I think he did Judge Dredd, the original Judge Dredd.
No, yes, both of them we forget because maybe they're not working as much or they're not as big names as other people now. We forget that those two directors knew how to reveal things, how to introduce characters, how to make us feel dread and grief and suspense, you know? So, yeah, I just feel like I don't want to take away from Jennifer Caton, but like, I love that you're a fan, but I don't know if you're a horror movie director, creator. Like, I think you can be a fan and make other movies that have nothing to do with this, you know?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some discussions to be had at Sony, and like I guess so. I think this one it's going to be one of those things where they have to see how everything plays out. It's going to be like domestic, international, digital, physical media. They're going to look at okay, how much money did it generate?
They're going to weigh everything. Yep.
And if we want to come back for another go around of this, and then what the tone should be, like I'm sure they're reading all the reviews, looking at like what even regular folks are saying. But like, okay.
You know, some horror franchises just kind of become comedies, like Chucky, like Texas Chainsaw for a bit, and then it kind of reset, but it's still you know, so some kind of just become comedies. So I guess the next one could just be a horror comedy, and as long as it's marketed that way, where it is goofy, it's like, you know, Happy Death Day, then I don't know, that's still a risk, but as long as we know it up front. But this sort of, you know, was marketed as a Scream in that it's serious with a couple fun wink wink one-liners, when really those one-liners should have been more throughout the trailers, I think.
Agreed.
To let us know, you know.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Well, guys, we got a lot to say about this movie.
I know. Sorry that this episode is so long. I talked too much.
No. These are the fun ones, though. I mean, when it's us, people like it a lot. So, like, there's at least.
Thank you.
We're supposed to do Scary Movie today, but
I know you have somewhere to go. I can. I'm sorry.
You have somewhere to go. You're all good. That's all good.
Unless you wanted it to be half an hour, but that's you know, we can talk.
I got a text in the middle of the day. I can take the rest of the day off. So I am going to take the rest of the day off and just enjoy being at home. So there's at least that. We'll figure out another time to do it this week sometime.
Let me know. I'm so sorry.
And I knew we would have a lot to say about this movie because like we had.
And not that there's a ton to say about Scary Movie, but you probably want it to be like an hour. You know? But 7.
Yeah, we had a lot of passionate things to say about this because like we were both excited for it, and you know, and I think that you know, and honestly, we weren't expecting like you know the greatest movie ever, but like I think we were just expecting something different.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's working for some people and it's not really working for us. So
and you know, listen, I love that people love it. I think that's great. I hope like, because if everyone hated it, yes, that would be fun that we all can commiserate, but then that's really just a bummer, you know? So hey, I'm glad some people are raving about it, but oh gosh, I just there's very little to rave about. I'm sorry.
I know. And I want to have a happier I think we both want to have a happier discussion about it. But
and my expectations were already kind of low. I was trying to not get too excited.
I didn't get too excited till the early like word came out from all these people. I saw it early and I was like, oh, okay, we're cooking.
Yeah, like this is the legacy sequel. I was like, really? Okay. But I'm just glad, let's just say I'm glad I went to a matinee and did not pay nighttime pricing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We came back down to earth in a big way once we saw it.
Oh yeah.
But we at least we kept it in line. We kept our podcast discussion canon because you were
that's so fun.
You're on the 25th anniversary of the first movie. You're on the 25th anniversary of the second one, and then you did this one. Maybe one day we'll throw it out.
Gaius, you know what I'm about to say. I'm kind of thinking maybe we do sometime. Maybe we talk about I'll Always Know, and even like if we do take on the TV show, we could just kind of do it one episode of like the bad I knows, you know, or at least I'll Always Know. I don't know the TV show. I don't know how many episodes, but keep that in mind. That could be a fun
it could be a fun
dive.
Sometimes like the bad movies are fun to talk about.
Totally. Too. I think I'll Always Know turns 20 pretty soon. Does it turn 20 next year? Let me look it up while we're still talking. I'll Always Know what you did last summer is 2006. So
all right. I think there is a world where I think it'd be fun.
I'm sure we wouldn't be talking for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
That'd probably be like a solid hour, most likely.
Oh yeah, maybe if that. Yeah, maybe we'll see. You know, but that could be kind of fun. So we'll keep that in our back pocket.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to thank Archie Parker for joining us again from the Release Date Rewind podcast. Always a pleasure. You'll be hearing him again. We're gonna figure out a quick schedule when to do Scary Movie. My week is we'll make it happen either this week or sometime next. But that's gonna be a fun discussion too, because I actually watched it right before we did this. So like, and I remembered all of it. I hadn't watched it in forever, and just remembered
so memorable. It's so perfect, right?
Yeah. Kind of wish I only have it on DVD though. I kind of wish I had like a better copy of it. And like, I need a better copy of it. But yeah, we'll be talking about that one. It'll be a lot more fun. Something I'm probably more proud to have rewatched.
A lot more celebratory. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And as always, you can find Back to Blockbuster wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those are all great. But if you want to look us up on the Playlist Studio app, that is also a good thing because they are our podcast network and they are doing big things behind the scenes for some stuff for us that's going to go, some changes that are going to happen that we'll be announcing on our 250th episode. So
wow,
I know that's so crazy. So yeah, and those who are asking too, because someone asked why we re-released that I know episode I did mention earlier. Jackson and I were both busy this week. We had one day to record, and then we both got busy. And then I was like, well, some people were like re-release their early episodes, and you know, like
smart.
Whatever. And it's smart. So it was topical. The Legacy sequel was coming out, so we were able to re-release episode 52, which is crazy. Is when we did the 25th anniversary of I Know You Did Last Summer. So that feels like
it was before Jackson was on the show.
Yeah, way before.
I think you were solo because it was just us two.
It was just us two
at that moment.
I was rotating some guests in and out at that time. Yeah, so that was a weird time for the podcast. So
how funny.
I almost released the I Still Know episode 2, but I felt I Know was probably the better one. But that was a fun episode even because Jackson was. This movie is. Just
you could always just use my soundbite of me saying, and we all thought I Still Know was bad, and then you're like, and now we're releasing I Still Know for a less bad sequel. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, right?
Yep. But yes, you'll be hearing Mark again very, very soon on our scary movie discussion as well. And you can still look forward to Jackson and I talking about Batman Forever, Batman Begins, RoboCop 2, and St. Elmo's Fire. Those are like what we have.
Wow.
I know we're behind on our anniversaries, but those are the ones we have in June.
Yeah.
I know for sure that I'm picking Clueless to do for July. I don't know what he wants to do for July. He's supposed to let me know that. But yeah, we have a lot more to give to you, but we're on our own schedule because like life be life, and sometimes
life is lifing hardcore. So but as long as you're celebrating anniversaries within a few months of the day, that's my motto now, right?
I just say it's all to say too, because some people were like worried about what's going on. Like we didn't have like a new episode this week, and I was like, everything's fine. Jackson and I are great. If anything, communication is always open about like both of us being busy, but all of us and then both of us feeling bad when we can't get a new episode out. I mean, we almost went last week without having anything come out, and I threw the idea of like re-releasing that episode with you, and he was like, I think that's a really good idea because it'll feel new to people who haven't listened to it because it's so far back. And now, like, if we ever do need some breaks, I might go back and like, I mean, I won't re-release any early episodes with like people who aren't on the show anymore, but even early episodes with Jackson or early episodes with like other guests, like I think that's an option to do if we need to
honestly,
take a time out.
If you ever just want to like, people do this sometimes where you just re-record a new intro and outro and then just so that it's a little fresh, you know, like you know. So that's a way to do it, you know.
Yeah. So like we have ways to do it, but like thank you for people that did reach out. They were like, I hope nothing's wrong. Like no, nothing's wrong. It's just busy. It's not just him. It's also me too. But it's also good busy behind the scenes too. It's like a lot of changes are going to be happening. So. Yeah, we have that to look forward to. But yeah, thank you again. And I swear to God, I will let you pimp out your podcast on the next episode that we
no problem.
So there's all that. But yes, I wouldn't want to talk for 2 hours and 53 minutes about movies like this with anyone else. So thank you so much for
my God. Thank you for giving me, because I basically was like, hey, I can do a podcast discussion about this. And you're like, hey, I'd be down for that. So I basically just forced myself onto Back to the Blockbuster. But no, I appreciate this because I feel like this was therapy. We got it all out. Thank you.
We got it all out. Yeah. Well, until next time, guys. Hopefully, if they do this again, if they do a sequel, please handle it with care. That's all these two old school fans are asking for.
Yeah.
That's my final word on that. More care, guys.